Did you hear anything else from them yesterday regarding this March 30th?
I got a text from Marty. I asked, who's the point person, engineer? Do we have to bring or set up equipment? He said I would consider Mike our point person. He secured us the space and the tickets and the sponsor. We will do the broadcast from Ferg's. He said, if you don't want to use your Comrex unit,
We don't have a Comrex unit.
Right. Bill will be bringing ours, and it will be set up Wednesday for his Michigan broadcast on Wednesday. You'll have tickets to give away as well. So,
okay, again, that doesn't answer any of my questions.
Well, apparently we could use their Comrex, or can we?
We don't use a Comrex. I mean, we use a Comrex, but Felipe uses it. We hook up with him through this. The only way for us to do this show is to have a dedicated internet line, the way we always have to have it, and we hook up via computer back to this studio to send us out.
Okay. So if we sent it via Comrex,
I've only tried to get a hold. I'm just pissed because I've only tried 5 times. Marty, do you have any time to talk? And he doesn't even effing answer me. I got shit to do. I got a life to drive up there. This throws a big wrench in my life to miss my daughter's softball game. I'd like to know whether or not I've got to set up fucking goddamn equipment.
Okay. We can't give him attitude. He's our boss. I mean, I hear you, though. Trust me.
Did they ever, Paul? Right from the word go.
Yeah. I thought they had a chance when they cut it to 6 at the half because they didn't play all that well.
Ball 3 killed them late in the first half. But
so if they have a Comrex, you're saying we can't use it? We can't send our signal back to Felipe with a Comrex?
I wouldn't know how, David.
Okay. I agree, because like the Comrex that I have, all the Sirius stations are plugged into it.
It's not that Felipe has. I don't know how to hook up to Beasley's Comrex. I don't know what their lines are. I mean, it doesn't just, hey, we got a Comrex. Right. It's not how this game works. I'll reach out to him today.
So how did we do that one live broadcast that we did?
We need a dedicated internet line. I hook up via computer back to our studio. Back to this computer that I'm staring at. Same one you used.
One minute.
Okay, I just text that to him and the Mike and the engineer about the dedicated internet line. We'll let them, and we got time. We got 8-9 days here. We're good. This is organization for FSN here. Not for you and I, but it is for them.
I want to know, I'm scared to death we're going to get there and there's going to be no one there at 5 a.m. when we go into this place.
Yeah, well, hey, once again, I'm fine with that. Let's turn around and go home. Not my problem.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to ya. Sports week is off to a terrific start. Hope your week got off to a good start as well. How the the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Little over 48 hours away from the Sweet 16 getting underway. Miami and FAU still very much alive. Thank you very much. Hell, does Felipe need to say it loudly and proudly? Felipe, what is Miami?
The center of the baseball world.
Boy, he doesn't even pay attention, does he? Didn't listen to a word you said. What Miami is a basketball school.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's right there in the Twitch chat room. And
right there. He's in.
Everything.
Yep.
Well,
they're both things.
Well, I mean, he technically he's right. It's just not what we were talking about. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network.
Indiana's daddy.
Well, that is very, very
and mommy.
much true. All right. Take it easy there. It's a big O for one.
This is not that AT&T commercial where you just randomly yell crap into the microphone.
Miller.
Boomerang.
David Samson and Pat Kirwan to join us on the show today. Got a heck of a show like that.
Ball bearings. Unbelievable.
I feel like we're an episode of Letterman in which between Letterman and Schaefer and the band, it went off the rails a minute and a half in. He hasn't even gotten to his first thing in the monologue yet. But yes, Miami is a basketball school, very much a basketball school. As the Canes women knocked off a top seed in Indiana with day after the men took out Indiana, hence Miami being Indiana's daddy. That's just and yes, if you're into it, and we don't know if anybody has listened to us for the last week and taken us up on it, but yes, if you did, that whole World Baseball Classic thing, I got to admit, it's delivering. I mean, it sort of feels like the NIT, considering the response that we're getting whenever we talk about it. But, the 3 or 4 people that I think we've swayed, Mark, it has certainly delivered.
That's what I keep seeing in the morning when I wake up. I mean, you guys are selling it. I have not bought in yet. I'll watch the final tonight. Maybe.
Oh, come on. What else you got? I mean, a little NBA, little NHL. You can always watch a little NBA, little NHL. I mean, this is it. U.S. and Japan, baby. Ohtani.
Yeah, for everything.
Well, it's just,
for it all, the whole ball of wax.
For the
Let's throw some more cliches on this to try to make this more important than it actually is.
It's for
Western civilization is riding on tonight's game.
I don't know about Western civilization, but I mean, I guess technically it's for the World Championship. Here's my question. If you have a World Series, how can you have a World Baseball Classic? Don't you have to differentiate? I mean, Then
this is the Global Baseball Championship tonight. This is for everything, the solar system. The Milky Way, David. This is it. This is it.
Have to admit, always thought Milky Way underrated. I mean, it's not Snickers, but I always thought it was underrated.
It is
underrated. Better. It's better than Three Musketeers.
Not even close.
Right.
How much better it is than a Three Musketeers. But Three Musketeers is full of air. A lot like Miller and Moulton sometimes.
Right. To me, you know what a Three Musketeer is? It's Miracle Whip. Milky Way's mayonnaise. Okay? Miracle Whip's imitation. And really not good for you. Okay? Milky Way's mayonnaise. Milky Way's helmets. Three Musketeer is, Miracle Whip. And don't get me wrong. Okay? I can enjoy plenty of Miracle Whip. It's crappy. It's sweet. All right? I mean, the younger you are, the more you like Miracle Whip. I'm fine with Miracle Whip. But, let's face it. Three Musketeer, Milky Way. Milky Way's just better. Now, every now and then you're just jonesing, though, for that sweet crap that Three Musketeers provides, and you grab it. Plus, it looks bigger. Three Musketeer always looked bigger than the other candy bars, whether it was or not. It looked bigger, looked longer.
Well, it had more length, but it less girth because of the airy nougat substance. So your total weight really wasn't any more.
So I'm just saying, Milky Way, underrated. And now when you think of the World Baseball Classic, it's the Milky Way. It's the whole damn existence. It's all the planets and the stars. It's not just Earth.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
It's a hell of a road we just went down there.
It really is.
Right. But so anyway, I will say, very exciting last night. Very exciting. Don't know if anybody watched, but if you did, it was outstanding. If you picked it up 3-0 in the 7th, like I did, was that an entertaining final hour? And that's about how long it took, too. Okay, because that's the other thing with this thing. None of the new rules. They're just, you take as long as you need. Shift, you can put 5 guys on one side of the infield if you want. It doesn't matter. And all the old rules are in play. So when the game slows down,
since Major League Baseball is essentially running this thing, why they wouldn't implement their new rules this year for this tournament.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they thought that it would be too radical for, the teams around the world and what have you. So for this one, they said, listen, we'll let you play by the old rules. I don't know what to tell you.
No, whatever rules they want to, it's their classic.
Right.
It's their world. Let them do whatever it is they want to do with the rules. I've not watched a pitch. I don't feel like I've missed anything. Felipe was so angry with me when I walked out yesterday because I just looked at him because I told him I don't care about the World Baseball Classic, and he got mad at me. He said it's the World Cup of baseball. Maybe it is.
Well, but you got to remember, for a long time, we in America did not jump on board this whole soccer thing too. I mean, it's very much a 21st century phenomenon. I know the U.S. men and the U.S. women in the 90s, and they did some stuff and what have you. But as a country, I mean, we weren't sitting around watching Premier League. We weren't having watch parties on the weekend and what have you. I mean, we weren't. I mean, even though soccer has been hyped down our throat since the mid-'70s. I mean, Mark, when you and I were growing up, okay, the media was telling us this is the next big thing. You better get on board. And
50 years later, we're starting to watch the Premier League.
Well, exactly. Right. It took 40 plus years. It took 2 generations for us to go, well, this is kind of entertaining. I think I'll watch. All right. And even then, it's 1 million people on a Saturday, Sunday morning. Which, I mean, it doesn't do much more than a good hockey game, to be honest. But it does do more than a hockey game. I will say more people will get up on a Saturday, Sunday morning and watch the Premier League than will sit down on a Saturday night on ABC and watch the Rangers and the Penguins. I mean, it's roughly the same audience. But like Tom in our Twitch chat room, was a great game, better than World Series atmosphere. Mexico and Japan last night. And if it was like, a Yankees playoff game, we'd be talking about it for 3 hours today. 3-0 in the 7th, tied at 3. Mexico scores 2 in the 8th. Japan scores 1 at the bottom of the 8th. It's 5-4 going to the 9th. Sure enough, the best player in the tournament, arguably the best player of the world, Ohtani, is leading off the bottom of the 9th inning with his country down 5-4. And what does he do? He doubles. And that starts the rally. They score 2. They win it. A walk-off. A World Baseball Classic walk-off in the semis.
God, we haven't had one of those since the 2008 World Baseball Classic.
Here we go.
When Portugal came from behind to defeat France 5-4 in an epic World Baseball Classic game that I don't think any of us have ever quit talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, everything about that is made up. The year, the teams, the score, the whole thing.
Especially the teams. France and Portugal.
Well, he's channeling his inner World Cup.
After all, this is the World Cup of baseball.
Right, baseball though.
So there you go. When all is said and done, we get U.S. and Japan tonight, 7:00. FS1 if you're interested. Just saying. I'm in. I got to be honest. I'm in. Sure. What the heck? I'll be curious to see the crowd. How pro is it one way or the other?
I am interested in that, to see if this atmosphere, which has been great for all the Latin teams that have played, how it will be tonight for U.S. And the Japanese crowds have been amazing, but they've been over there.
And
so I'll be curious to what the crowd is like tonight. What a fevered pitch this is at for this is the most important baseball game that's ever been played, right, Felipe?
It's the most important baseball game
of your lifetime.
In a while.
March. It's the most important March baseball game ever played. How about that? Can we give it that title?
So it's the most important spring training game ever played?
It's in March. I mean, you quantify that as you will. I mean, technically, the Major League season starts on March 30th this year. We have had the Major League season start overseas in late March before, but you could argue this is the most important March baseball game ever played.
I think tonight has the potential to be the most epic baseball game. One of the most epic baseball games of all time.
The game has to have meaning to a lot of people for that to be the case. And what we're clearly finding out, at least on this show, is that is not the case.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David, you and I tuned into the game at the exact same time.
All right, so how much of the World Baseball Classic have you watched? A lot, some, none? Do you want 4 choices on there, or is that good enough?
That's fine.
Okay. And then, are you watching tonight's World Baseball Classic?
Double poll questions. I turned on the game and the ball was hit for that Randy Arozarena rob, which was swagtastic, by the way.
I was following the game on my phone, and so it just kept being 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. I'm like, well, no reason to turn it on. And then FS1, Paul.
There we go.
I got to admit, if I was Major League Baseball, I really would have leaned on Fox to put this game on Big Fox.
Yeah, you would think they'd do that for the final.
Well, but the thing is, Fox doesn't know who's going to be in the final.
That's fair.
Paul, you have FS1.
Yeah, I think it's on basically every single cable system that there is, including YouTube TV.
Ambient, I'm not shocked how network television goes. Fox would look at Major League Baseball and go, well, who's playing in the final? And they're like, well, we don't know. And they're like, well, we can't show a Mexico-Venezuela final on Fox. You give us U.S. and Japan, U.S. and anybody, we could show that. But with the exception of Paul here, everybody's got FS1. So,
Which, like, I get that. You want to show the U.S., but Mexico-Venezuela would still be an amazing game.
I'm Felipe.
I'm sorry.
Nobody is going to watch that in this country.
Also, Maddie Segrist is like woman Carmelo Anthony.
Adam, the women have been doing that for a long time. The top 16 seeds, the top 4 seeds in all 4 regions, play the first 2 rounds at home. And they do that because of attendance. Otherwise, they tried putting this tournament on neutral courts, and nobody went to the games. And it was a bad TV look to have so.
And it was a good TV look last night. I mean, it was for that game. Crowd chanting and all that kind of stuff.
6,000 seat arena, and it's pretty packed. That's a good look. But Adam, that's also why it's so tough for anybody but the top 4 seeds to get through to the Sweet 16. That's why what Miami did last night to go into Indiana and beat a 1 seed, like Ole Miss went to Stanford the night before and beat Stanford. I mean, for 2 1 seeds in the women's tournament to not make the Sweet 16, that's crazy.
Man, that would have been awesome if FGC would have won that to get to play Miami. How cool would that have been?
Well, they wouldn't have played. I think they would have played South Carolina.
All right. They just showed that.
10 seconds.
That's okay.
I thought.
They had Nova playing Miami on the screen just now.
Really? Yeah, you're right. Wow.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us on this Tuesday. David Samson to join us coming up at the top of the hour. I'm sure we'll revisit this whole World Baseball Classic talk. Pat Kirwan's going to join us earlier than usual. He's busy. He's got stuff going on today. Last night he said, listen, I got to move my appearance up. I go, well, heck, we normally do it at 8 a.m. He goes, yeah, I'm like the post office, man. I'm on the road. I'm working. I'm like, okay, we'll move it up. So
thought I had a new mail lady in my neighborhood. They do come early.
Pat, as your new mailman, would be spectacular, though. Okay, I mean, talk about a guy who you could derail and just have long conversations with. Heck, you might get in your golf cart. You could just follow him around the community.
Right. I can jump in with him. You need some help today?
That's true. He'd take you around, breaking all sorts of protocol. You're not supposed to allow people in your van. All right. It's true. Pat would be a great mailman.
I'm surprised that that's not your dream retirement job. Like, you've always fallen back on Domino's delivery whenever we come close to getting an act ended, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And you fall back on pizza delivery.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised you haven't vaulted to mail carrier, your love of the post office.
I have to admit, there are a few people in the last handful of years who have gone into, other lines of work, and they've done some sort of delivery, UPS or what have you. I don't know if I do post office because, the post office is constantly being downsized. But, maybe UPS, Amazon, something like that. It will involve driving. I like to drive. I like being alone in the car. I'm good alone. I get along very well with others when I'm alone. So there will be no act 4. I mean, Miller and Moulton have said this is it. This is our third and final
Why
act.
do you keep saying? We'll do a fourth act. We'll do a fifth act. I'll do Sugar Ray Leonard. I'll keep coming back from retirement 16, 18 times. I don't care.
Listen,
They keep wanting to hire us. I'll keep working. You really want to end this to go work for a living?
well, I don't want. See, listen. This is how fond of you I am. 2 out of our 3 acts, you've gotten me to get up at 4:15 a.m. Honestly, I have never gotten up outside of to play competitive golf when I was young. No way. You could not get me out of bed, all right, before like 8 a.m. And I am now doing a morning show and have done a morning show now for like 5 years because of you. And there's no way if we have a 4th or 5th act that I'm going to continue to do a morning show. Absolutely not. And I know you're not going to do it unless it is a morning show. So that's why I'm
beggars can't be choosers, David. Beggars can't be choosers.
Well, that's true, Mark. Make a dadgum good point. But
you have to remember, I have a 3rd grader. I don't have a lot of say in this.
No, I'm well aware. I'm well aware. All right. And so that, come to think of it, I'm not getting up in the morning for you, actually. I'm getting up in the morning for your daughter. I'll rationalize it that way. I'm not doing a damn thing for you.
I like it. I like it. This therapy session brought to you by.
But you're right. All right. It will involve driving. I'm really good alone. I get along so well with others when I'm alone.
Work and play well with others.
I do.
Particularly when you're by yourself.
Yes. Yes. Because my best relationships are when I'm texting or when you're on speakerphone. That's probably when I'm at my best. See, in person, the sarcasm, I don't know. It gets in the way. At least that's what I've been told.
Well, David, I did something early in the show today because you guys have been going off about the World Baseball Classic. I do not have 1 poll question up already, David. I have 2 poll questions up before we get to the starting 5.
Wow.
I want to know. I mean, Felipe thinks this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. You started watching a little bit. I've not watched any of this. We cannot have 3 more different answers to how much World Baseball Classic have we watched. Felipe's watched a lot. You've watched some. I've watched none. Those are our 3 answers. And then I just ask, with that being said, because we wrap ourselves around the flag, how are you watching tonight? The USA, they're in the we're in the finals, David. We're in it. We did it. Woohoo! Are you watching?
Listen, I don't want to say that maybe it's not going to do as well in the ratings as Felipe hopes. Okay, but when you have people in the Twitch chat room asking, where's FS1? That's a bad sign.
You know how
That's a bad sign.
You know how the common complaint with all-star games is that it's an assembly of the best players, but they just don't care because it's an
Yeah, it's an
all-star game.
exhibition, right?
This is like if they cared.
Felipe,
Agreed.
you're doing a great job selling it. It is March baseball that doesn't mean anything to me. There's nothing that you can say or do that's going to change my opinion on the World Baseball Classic. It's meaningless to me. Now, baseball really wants this to be a bigger deal. They are trying hard. David Samson's going to beat me about the head and chest for saying it's meaningless.
I cannot wait for David Samson today. I am so excited.
Coming up at the top of the hour. But, Mark, I think you would acknowledge this, that there have been, this could be the Olympics, could be a world championship of some kind. There's been a sporting event where you're flipping around the channels and you stop on it, and you wouldn't normally give a rat's you-know-what about this, but the importance, the intensity, what have you, can start to jump through the screen and grab you, and you realize, oh, wow. This is really important. Could even be a college, national championship of some kind. I mean, how many people watch lacrosse? All right, but might be flipping through the channels late in the spring, and all of a sudden you stumble upon a national semifinal or a final, and you go, oh, wow, look at this. It's a 1-goal game late. Oh, they're playing for a national championship. How about that? And for 20, 30 minutes, you're like, oh, okay, I can get into this.
David, totally. But they've wrapped this World Baseball Classic around one of, a 10-day period of some of my favorite sporting events of the year between the college basketball tournaments and March Madness. There are only so many hours in a day to watch sports. And I try to watch, like last night, I was far more interested in Panthers Red Wings than I was in the World Baseball Classic. The Panthers are trying to make the playoffs to the Stanley Cup, a sport that I care a lot about. I'm not going to sit here and go off about the Panthers win last night. Big win, important win. Penguins lost, kind of helped.
Yeah, actually, Panthers in the playoffs. If the playoffs started
as a matter of fact, they are.
First time we could say that about the Panthers since damn near opening night.
But that was immediately where I went. You and I both watched a women's basketball game. We had Carl Semesco, the FGCU coach, on yesterday. You followed their program from the get-go. Carl's a great guy. So we watched the women play. When their game was over, second half, they got whooped. I flipped over to the hockey. I didn't flip over to Mexico and Japan. That's all.
And we'll see tonight with not a whole heck of a lot going up against it. No NCAA tournament action, male or female for that matter, tonight. There's just a little NBA, a little NHL. Can the World Baseball Classic get a little bit of attention tonight? If you watch one inning of it, would it be tonight? If you're Major League Baseball, you're hoping so. Which is another reason why, when we have talked about it, and the idea that you took from somebody on Twitter who said, listen, maybe you spend March qualifying the 8 teams, and then maybe what we do is in July, instead of an all-star break, we play the World Baseball Classic over a week in July. Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
You had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Do you still have 2 headsets?
Yes, although yes,
Or
I
the
do.
one you do?
I do because I have a headset that goes with my Comrex that works.
Okay.
This I only have one of these that works. For whatever reason, the mic doesn't work. But yes, I do. It's a good headset too. Mark, what do you do if you're the Marlins? What do you do? You have looked around for the last 4 days. You have seen your ballpark absolutely packed with a whole bunch of people that you've never, ever been able to get to come through your turnstiles before. But now, granted, some of those people flew in for the occasion, so they don't live there and all that. But you know what I'm getting at here. You've done this for a living. How can you now get them to the ballpark?
I think it's a double. I think, David, it's even worse because now there's been all this atmosphere. And now people are going to go. There's going to be no atmosphere. Your ballpark experience got worse, not better.
So what do you do, though? I mean, can you?
It's a great question for David Samson. It's kind of what I mean. It's a great place to go.
Because when you've got a full house, you can hire the band and you can do anything, and it adds to the atmosphere and the whole deal. But if you walk in and it's 20% full, and you've got a band and the whole deal, I mean,
right?
It can be taken either way. Those of us that are there kind of look around like, what the heck? Or those of us look around and go, oh, this is cool. I think if I was the Marlins, yeah, that's funny.
That's funny, Adam.
But I think if I'm the Marlins, I'm going all in on the atmosphere. Somehow, some way. You know what I would have done if I was the Marlins? I would have said you could trade in your World Baseball Classic ticket stub for a free ticket to any game.
I agree with that. Or half off if you want to get some money.
Whatever. Something. Show us proof you went to a World Baseball Classic game, and we'll let you see a Marlins game for free or half price or whatever.
Did you see the catch, Mark?
I did.
Anybody having trouble with the ESPN app? My phone literally won't keep it up.
I don't ever use it.
Try just like closing it out and closing it back in.
I've done it. I've turned the phone off
Oh,
for a half
jeez.
hour.
Yeah, my app's working fine. We're back in 10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. David Samson joins us at the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan joins us 1 hour from now. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Not one, but two poll questions already up. Man, what a crazy show this is. We can go
World Baseball Classic fever, David.
Well, see, now I sense your sarcasm.
Both poll questions are surrounding the world. I am very interested what our audience has to say to these questions. How much have you watched, and are you watching tonight? I mean, this is it. And I'm not being flippant. If people are in, this is USA versus Japan, the whole ball of wax. You got Ohtani. You got this great American team. Come on. If you're going to watch.
Now, I will say Ohtani's not pitching. All right. My understanding is Ohtani's not pitching. At least he's not starting. I don't know if he's available to, get 3-6 outs or what have you. But, I mean, Ohtani's not pitching. So, I mean, I'd be all in. If Ohtani was pitching, it'd be fantastic, especially since Trout bats second. I mean, there you go. Bottom of the first inning. How do you do? That'd be awesome. But so not one, but two poll questions. A, how much have you watched? None, a little, a lot of the World Baseball Classic. And then, are you going to watch tonight, U.S. and Japan in the final?
I even voted yes that I'm going to watch tonight. I don't know how much I'm going to watch tonight, but I will turn it on.
During commercial break of a hockey game, right? In between periods?
There's two televisions. It'll get a TV tonight.
Okay. All right. 20 minutes before the hour, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
If you tuned in last night, it was something. 3-0 Mexico going to the bottom of the 7th. Japan scores 3 to tie it. And Mexico with 2 in the 8th. Japan with 1 in the 8th. It's 5-4 Mexico going to the 9th. Ohtani leading things off in the bottom of the 9th. He doubles, then a walk, then a double. Japan wins in a walk-off 6-5. How do you do? It'll be U.S. and Japan tonight, 7 o'clock FS1 for the championship of the baseball world in March. College basketball. The women got center stage last night, and there was a big upset. in women's hoops, the top 4 seeds all play at home because otherwise they struggle to get people to go to their games. And so that's why the top 4 seeds in all 4 regions host the first 2 rounds. So Miami as a 9 seed, I mean, they already had a remarkable tournament because they came from 17 down at the half to win their first round game by 1 against Oklahoma State. Now Miami was trying to take down top-seeded Indiana a day after the men of Miami had taken out Indiana. And Destiny Harden, who had missed 3 of 4 free throws in the final 40 seconds to allow Indiana to stay close enough that they could hit a 3 in the closing seconds to tie it, Destiny Harden said, yeah, I'm going to make up for that. And she had a little step back and a little baby J. Miami, the second team to take out a 1 in the women's tournament, 70-68 over Indiana. Miami advances to play Villanova. Villanova took out the other Florida team left in the tournament, FGCU. What was the 6-point game at the half? Nova scored the first 9 points of the third quarter and 1 going away, 76-57. Otherwise, UConn, Ohio State, Tennessee, UCLA, 2, 3, and 4 seeds, all won at home. 2 minor upsets. 5th-seeded Louisville beat 4th-seeded Texas by 22. And 6th-seeded Colorado upset 3rd-seeded Duke in overtime. Julius Randle scored 57 points, and the Knicks lost 140-134 in regulation to the T-Wolves. Taurean Prince was a perfect 8 for 8 from beyond the arc. He had 13 shots and scored 35 points. Mark, that's called being efficient.
That's really efficient. Those.
Yeah. 13 shots, 35 points. Mm-hmm.
When they break those numbers down, those offensive efficiency numbers are really good, David.
I guess it was a 1-point game with about a minute to go, and he hit a deep wing 3, and the play-by-play voice for the T-Wolves said, Prince, dearly beloved. It's a pretty good call.
Nice.
Especially as the voice of the T-Wolves.
Exactly.
You know? That's pretty good. Mark, I don't want to say last night was a crazy night in sports, but wait for it. The Golden State Warriors won on the road.
Stop the presses.
They were 7-29 on the road before last night. That's right. The defending world champions' winning percentage on the road was less than 200. But they won in Houston 121-108. 8-29 on the road. We're supposed to take this team seriously. Hey, Philly been on a roll. And they lost at home to Chicago in 2 overtimes last night, 109-105. Big win for the Bulls, who are creating some distance between them and Washington and what have you for the play-in. But that's a big loss for Philly. Philly had caught Boston in the loss column to try to be the 2 seed. That could be a big loss. You know, could be Boston, Philly in the second round, and it could come down to 1 game as to who has home court. Dallas had a 13-point lead going to the fourth quarter, and Memphis came back and beat them 112-108. By the way, looks like it's the last game without John Morant. Talk is he's coming back tomorrow. He apparently was practicing with the team yesterday, met with the team, talked with the team, that sort of deal. So they think his suspension's up, but they think he's going to come back tomorrow for Memphis. Utah and Sacramento 128-120. That makes Memphis the 2 seed by a game right now. Charlotte beat Indiana 115-109. NHL, the Panthers, baby, 6-0-1 in their last 7. And if the playoffs started today, they'd be in it. And I think that's the first time we can say that all season. They are the second wild card, a point ahead of the Penguins, thanks to their 5-2 win over Detroit, while the Penguins lost at home to Ottawa 2-1. It's a bad loss. Ottawa lost 5 in a row.
Really bad loss. The Panthers, just what the doctor ordered. I did not realize this till I watched the game last night. They're now 19-2 in their last 21 against Detroit.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
pretty good. Colorado shut out Chicago 5-0. Edmonton 5-4 in overtime over San Jose. And Calgary's trying to make the playoffs. Losing 8-2 at Los Angeles, that's not going to help. Excuse me. College basketball news. Big day for the Big East yesterday. How about Rick Pitino to St. John's and Ed Cooley leaving Providence and going to Georgetown? We're putting the band back together again. John Thompson, Luke Carnesecca, here we go.
Just need some sweaters.
Well, they're both making enough money. They can buy whatever wardrobe they want.
Got that right.
Pitino's 70. You got a 6-year contract. Mark, this is now the last job he'll ever have. You know, he said that about Louisville and Iona. Now, no. This time.
6-year deal.
6-year deal. He
Right.
said he wanted to coach 6 more years.
Okay.
So he actually said he wanted to coach 10, but he definitely thinks he can do 6. So they gave him a 6-year deal. So there you go. Rick Pitino, Ed Cooley, St. John's and Georgetown. We'll see how long it is until they make either one relevant. I mean, you know, Ewing only had 1 winning season in his 7 years there. Georgetown had a really good team in 2013. I mean, it's really been 10 years. They had 1 week in the Big East tournament like 5 years ago, and they had a really good team 10 years ago. St. John's hasn't even made the semis of the Big East tournament in over 20 years. That's being irrelevant. So, anyway, St. Francis of Brooklyn. It's a small Division I school in the Northeast Conference, the NEC. Did you see what they did yesterday?
I did.
They canceled sports. They have 21 sports. And they said, no, we're done. And when the current sports year ends, that's it. We're done. Sorry. If you want to continue to go to school here, we'll honor your scholarships. You don't have to pay for anything. But if you want to play sports, you can't do it here.
We're now doing club sports, apparently.
Yeah.
They shuttered their athletic department yesterday.
21 sports. By the way, St. Francis of Brooklyn, you know what their enrollment is? 2,300.
Might be why they're shuttering sports. It's pretty expensive to run a 21-team athletic department with 2,300 kids. Do you know what you have to charge them a semester just to keep your budget afloat?
Well, not only that, I mean, how many kids in the school don't play the sport? Got 21 sports out of 2,300 kids. A lot of NFL news from yesterday. You ready? The Hammer, or as we like to call him, Roger Goodell. Apparently he's getting a contract extension. This will be his 4th extension. You know how long he's been on the job?
Close to 30 years now, isn't it?
No. You're forgetting about Tagliabue. Okay, Tagliabue was the guy in between Roselle.
Okay,
and
so where's he at?
September 06. So it'll be 17 years
17
in
years?
September.
All right.
This will be his 4th extension. He got one in 09, 2012, and 2017. Apparently his contract's about to run out, and so they're giving him a contract extension. It's believed to be 3 years. For what it's worth, because his contract's tied to performance bonuses and this, that, and the other thing. He made $63 million last year. Goodell did. So Roger Goodell makes more than any quarterback in the league. By the way, Goodell's contract fully guaranteed. Ha, ha, ha. Woo. Apparently there's 4 bidders for the Commanders, and Magic Johnson's now part of a group that wants the Washington football team. He's joining the group led by Josh Harris, the guy who owns the Sixers and the Devils. Harris finished runner-up for the Broncos. Forbes values the Commanders at $5.6 billion. The expectation is they'll go for $1 billion more than that. We were just talking about tight end Dalton Schultz yesterday. He signed with the Texans.
With the Texans.
But Houston's paying decent money for players, but signing them to very short-term deals, and the players are willing to go along with it. Dalton Schultz, 1 year, $9 million. Devin Singletary, 1 year, little less than $4 million to leave Buffalo and go with Houston. Buffalo then replaces him with Damian Harris, formerly of the Patriots, on a 1-year deal. Cleveland re-signs quarterback Josh Dobbs. I guess he's going to be Deshaun's backup. And Mark, you may find this interesting. Today is Auburn's pro day. You know who's going to be at it?
Cam Newton.
Which I know may be a surprise to most of you, considering his eligibility expired 13 years ago.
Let me rephrase that. He's going to be there as a participant, not as an observer.
No, he's going to throw. Cam turns 34 in May. He didn't play last year. And Cam sent out a 45-second video that basically said, listen, I still don't think there's 32 guys better than me, and I'm healthy. And so, yeah, they're going to let me work out. And so all the teams are going to be there. Why not? Okay. I will say this. Every team he's been on, the guys love him. The coaches love him. Belichick raved about Cam. Now, he just, shoulder wasn't healthy. He wasn't very good. But the guy, the leader, raved about him. And players love him, college and pro. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that mark was...
That was the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Would you sign Cam to be your backup?
Probably not.
Really?
I'd have to see. I mean, you'd have to go through some serious exams. I don't think he can throw it anymore.
Well, some of the teams out there, some of the offenses that they run,
he wasn't a great thrower before. He's had all kinds of shoulder injuries. That just scares the bejibbers out of me.
Well, then the one thing we don't want to do is scare your bejibbers.
Thank you for that. Miller and Moulton, David Samson coming up right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, Paul, money talks as to why they're giving Houston a try, because Houston's paying, at the top of the chain, apparently. Short-term deals because they're not committing long-term, but I'm impressed that, they're finally trying. And I'm sure that was part of the interview process with D'Amico Ryans, that D'Amico said, listen, guys, we need to sign players. This roster sucks. I mean, we got $100 million. If you're not going to spend it, I ain't interested. So now they're signing some guys. Good. Chicago could spend another $40 million too. I mean, come on. You guys need players.
He's all buttoned up, button-down shirt, sport jacket. I'm in a UC Santa Cruz Banana Slugs t-shirt over here.
It's my favorite t-shirt of all time. I've got 3 of them in various orders of disrepair.
Got my master shirt on with no collar.
I'm trying, and not for you, David. I do this every year. I watch a little bit of the Oscars. I see what the pictures are, and I'm like, all right, I need to go watch these. I am working during the day with my daughter on spring break when she's doing reading and doing different things, of watching All Quiet Along the Western Front. Mm-hmm. Wow, is that a toe tapper?
It's a toe tagger.
Wow, is that just I can't watch that at night and stay awake.
Oh, because it's boring?
It's something. It's long. It takes a while. It got me a little bit yesterday. I watched about an hour and a half of it before the daughter called me away.
It's a good movie. Not the best of the bunch. If you're going through all of the movies, I hope you go see Banshees.
Okay.
And you have to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once twice. First time won't be good. Second time will be unbelievable.
Yes, I did that the other day. I watched it for the second time, and it was even better.
Life changers the second time. You missed half the movie the first time. I did, at least.
Yeah.
Banshee?
No, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh.
One Best Picture at the Oscars.
You guys, do you think Randy Rosrain is happy to come back now?
Ten seconds.
Played before 8,000.
Here we go.
Led right what we wanted to talk about.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And at this day and time, we're joined by David Samson. He of the daily podcast, Nothing Personal with David Samson, CBS Sports HQ, CBSSports.com. Follow David on Twitter, David the letter P Samson, David P Samson. How are you this week?
I am great. It's been great to watch baseball this week. Actual non-spring training baseball. I must tell you, it's gotten me excited. Makes me think about October, actually.
Makes you think about October. And our producer is of your ill. He is all fired up about the World Baseball Classic. I have not caught the bug. What is the World Baseball Classic, do you think, going to do to help this season? Going forward, what is this doing to be positive for baseball other than a really good exhibition for a couple of weeks?
Well, I guess I could say the same thing about the World Cup, right? That's a pretty good exhibition for a couple of weeks every 4 years. And that's what we envisioned when we started the World Baseball Classic, that it would become baseball's vision of the World Cup. The fan engagement that we're seeing, the first time ever you've got great players standing up and saying, why isn't every great player doing this? That's never happened before. We've had incredible games, some unfortunate injuries, and the final tonight between Japan and U.S., I expect to be the most watched World Baseball Classic game of all time.
Well, and not just in the States, but also apparently the world and large portions of it have paid attention to this. And David, how much of the world were you guys at Major League Baseball actually envisioning when you created this, or were you creating it to help baseball in the States?
I would say we were going for 6 of the 7 continents. We could not have any possible financial plan to get Antarctica. But other than that, we were ready for the other 6 to take over. We want Africa. We want absolutely South America for sure. Europe, you understand, we're playing games in London and trying to figure out how to get Europe the way the NFL has started to do it. And North America, that's the other thing. We didn't ignore North America by getting the best USA team, by having a Canada team that people are following and enjoying. It's a way to try to convert them to become fans of Major League Baseball and of the season. You engage them in fantasy and gambling and good competition early in the season, which hopefully starts them in the beginning of the season watching games to recognize players from their teams. And then you hope the competition is good enough, which is why, follow me here, you need competitive balance and payroll parity. So then no matter where your World Baseball Classic favorite player is playing, you feel that player has a chance.
Well, that last one, what was that last thing you said there? Parity?
Parity?
In payment? I thought I heard some words there that sounded like a salary cap to me, David.
I said payroll parity. Payroll parity is important. So let's talk about last night's game if you want to. I don't know if you watched it. It was very late, very long game.
Both Felipe and I picked it up at the same time, 3-0 Mexico in the 7th. Mark did not watch a second of it. The final hour was riveting. It was enthralling. It was awesome.
It was awesome. There's no doubt. Now, you saw what happens. They're not playing under the rule changes for this year in MLB. They're playing under the old rules, and the game took over 4 hours. Under the new rules, we're hoping that type of game is 3 hours and 20 minutes, let's say. But that said, when you saw what Japan did by walking off Mexico, the question is, will there be fans in your part of the world when they come see Randy Arozarena? Will they say, wow, that was the guy from Mexico who made those catches? He was on that team that had a chance to go to the finals. I want to watch him play. Is that a possibility in Tampa? We're going to wait and see.
By the way, last week when we had you on, we talked about possibly playing this in a different month, either July or November. How about this compromise where you spend March nailing it down to the quarterfinals, and then you take an all-star week in July and you play the quarters, the semis, and the finals. And it'd be really easy. You could just, the regular season, takes a break after Sunday. On Wednesday, you play 2 quarterfinals. On Thursday, you play the other 2 quarterfinals. Then on Friday, you play a semi. On Saturday, you play a semi. And on Sunday, you play the championship game. And so, you take a week to 10 days instead of all-star break. It's a World Baseball Classic break. You do it once every 3 years. But now, and you're doing it right in between Wimbledon and the British Open. You would own the sports world in this country for a full week. What do you say?
I say I love it, and I've been in meetings where it's been proposed, and we can't get 23 votes to shut down the game because the baseball people tell the owners, for those people not playing in the World Baseball Classic, they can't sit around for that long. We're going to have to pitch simulated games. We're going to have to, which are not the same as regular games. We're going to have to keep pitchers' arms going. Hitters like to be in a groove. They like using the All-Star break of a couple of days to slow down, but not 10 days. So there's never been the votes to stop the game. That would be brilliant in my opinion, but we just don't have the votes from either the owners or the players to do it.
All right. Let's talk about this from the Marlins standpoint. I am fascinated by the crowds at the World Baseball Classic. The atmosphere has been tremendous. We know what the Marlins draw. We know what they're up against. How do the Marlins, and you as a former president of the Marlins can reflect upon this better than probably anybody, how do they take all of the positive vibes that are going on, all of the atmosphere, and spin it into any sort of attendance boom for the Marlins this year?
Well, I'll tell you what we did in 2017, because in 17, the World Baseball Classic was also in Miami, and it was amazing. We sold out Marlins Park. There was a USA-Venezuela game that you couldn't believe, or USA-Dominican Republic. And what we did is we contacted every single person in the ballpark. We had a marketing letter ready to go. We had phone numbers. So our salespeople, we had a group of salespeople whose sole job was to convert these ticket holders. We had about 40 people working the game. We had sales tables open during the game. We were walking up to people in those seats to sell them packages. And our conversion rate was under 1%. And what we found out, much to my chagrin, was that the people who were there were country interested, not team interested. Player interested, not league interested. Meaning that converting them to be season ticket holders of Major League Baseball or of any team was a losing proposition. So we tried discounts. We tried giveaways. Buy World Baseball Classic tickets. Get Marlins regular season game tickets for free, like a BOGO. Buy one, get one. The problem is when you give someone a free ticket, they don't spend any money on food, beverage, or merchandise. And so it truly is just a dud of a financial body in your ballpark. Ironically, when someone pays a lot of money for their ticket, they then spend a lot of money on other things, food, beverage, merchandise, parking. So we've tried converting all over, and so have other teams who have hosted, and that's been a struggle so far. This year, could it be different? I'm excited to see what the Marlins do under new leadership. Is it possible they have a better time converting these fans into season ticket holders or into people who will engage with the Marlins? I guess that's a true way to see.
David, anybody who has watched any of this World Baseball Classic, and even if they haven't and they've just seen highlights, the atmosphere at the games has been amazing. Even in Arizona, the atmosphere has been glorious and very different than the atmosphere is normally at a Major League Baseball game in North America. What would you do, if anything, to try to bring that atmosphere to regular season games? Because the other thing the World Baseball Classic has is the players are very demonstrative. They're showing emotion, and nobody's getting bent out of shape. Nobody's throwing the ball behind anybody's head. There's no unwritten rules. Everybody's on board with it. So can you take the World Baseball Classic in crowd atmosphere and bring it to your regular 3-game series against the Brewers and have everybody look at you like, what the hell are you doing?
You mean on a Tuesday in June?
Right.
Listen,
where there's 6,400 people in the ballpark. Can you have the band and the whole deal?
So let me tell you what we did. We started something called Heritage Nights, and now you see them all over baseball. So we would say, all right, you don't want to come to 80 games. If you watch the Dominican play, we are going to market to you, come to Dominican night, and we're going to reenact what this game was like. Come, we're going to have difference in the concession stands. We're going to have different music. We're going to have you able to have all these, cha-chas and musical instruments you use. And we get 1,000, 3,000, 4,000 to come and consider that a good group effort for a Heritage Night. You can't recreate it. We've tried every single year. Every single team has done that. They've tried it through Heritage Nights. I went to a Liverpool Man U game in Anfield, and I wanted to recreate that. And I realized that even Yankees Red Sox don't recreate that. You just can't recreate that level of passion for a midweek regular season game. It just doesn't work that way. And the last thing I'll say is about how players are. In a 162 game season, we don't want our players to be that emotional. It's too many ups and downs. It's too quick a turnaround to the next game. The best teams and the best players are level. Up and down, the way Randy Arozarena was, the way Mexico, Japan. It's so great in the playoffs, but during the regular season, not only do you get plunked in the kepi, but on top of that, you become completely exhausted and you cannot make it to the finish line.
Can we get the plucked in the kepke out of the way, though? I mean, is there a point in which celebration doesn't result in retaliation? I mean, it seems like there's an old guard in baseball that just will not let go of the unwritten rule. And I'm with you. I get it. Over 162 games, you can't have the emotions run like that. But you can have emotion without repercussion.
So there should be emotion without repercussion, but it depends on how that emotion happens. Back to Randy, what he did after he caught that ball and robbed the home run, the way he sort of stood there, I don't know if you watched it, but watch the tape. It's fabulous what he did. That is perfect for the World Baseball Classic. If he did that in a postseason game or regular season game, he's getting plunked, he's getting yelled at, and he may even get benched. Why? Because that is going to elicit an emotional response, if not physical one, from the other team, and you don't want to wake up the other team when you make a play like that. You want to act like you've been there before, catch the ball, high fives, get into the dugout. But during the World Baseball Classic or during the Olympics or during the World Cup, you can do those sorts of things because it's an elimination game and it's country, it's patriotism, and a lot gets forgiven in those circumstances.
30 seconds. All right. Does the World Baseball Classic and the momentum it's created, does it carry into opening day? 20 seconds.
God dang it. Yes, opening day. If you had said the day after opening day, I would have said no. Nice to see you. See you next week.
David Samson, Nothing Personal is his daily podcast. He does it live, 8 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He tapes it as live right around the same time on Tuesday and Thursday and re-airs at CBS Sports HQ, CBSSports.com. Follow him on Twitter, David, the letter P. Samson, David P. Samson. David, we love this segment. Thanks for doing it with us.
See you soon.
Pat Kirwan in 25 minutes right here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening to Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
What's up,
Salt
David?
Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning
Can't
Show,
hear him.
making your trip to and from the airport seamless and
All right,
stress-free.
he's texting. Forget it.
Salt
No worries.
Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Everything good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I doubt any of it goes to the Marlins organization. They get their rent for the building, but I doubt that the money goes to the Marlins. It goes to Major League Baseball or whoever, the World Baseball Classic. Oh, wow. Cuba's bullpen catcher bolted after the game yesterday. Wow.
Ambien, we're not even sure that would do it. Like, let's just say they had a good team. Let's just say they had like a Rays type of team, a good team, an 88 to 92 win team. Think people start going to Marlins games?
No.
You know,
$30 seconds. Foot Locker is planning on closing 400 stores by 2026. The end of an era.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan to join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes. For those of you that catch the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton, Jim Larranaga, the Canes basketball coach, will join us at the top of the bonus hour. For those that don't get our bonus hour, we will bring that interview back to you tomorrow. So you will catch Jim Larranaga on Miller and Moulton one way or the other. Hey, have you caught the March Madness ratings?
I've not. I did not see them yesterday.
They're good. Good. Really good.
And that's without Blue Bloods winning, without some Blue Bloods in the tournament.
Right. Right. Now we get to the Sweet 16. No Carolina, no Duke, no Kansas, no Kentucky. Okay. Now let's see whether or not the momentum from week 1 carries over to week 2, and we've got an East Regional of K-State, Michigan State, FAU, and Tennessee.
Hello, everybody.
How about that? We've got a South region of Alabama, San Diego State, Creighton, and Princeton. So, I mean, the good news, we love our close games and we love our upsets. And when FDU was taking down Purdue, there was 11 to 12 million people watching. And that game was on what? That game was not on CBS. That was a Turner channel of some kind. I don't know if it was, I don't think it was True TV. I think it was either TNT or TBS. I think it was TBS. By the way, when's the last time 11.5 million people were watching anything on TBS?
Had to be one hell of an Andy Griffith rerun.
Commercial free, Mark. Hell.
Well, I think it's the one where Otis was drunk.
It was a weekend palooza. But so that's the good news. Good news is, and also, I mean, man, people are not watching regular season college basketball. The numbers are frightening, in fact. I mean, there have been games late in the regular season, late February, first weekend of March, on CBS and Fox. Forget 3- and 4-letter network cable channels. No. CBS and Fox that aren't even doing 1 million people. I mean,
and that's tough to do. If you throw it on network television, you're almost damn near guaranteed 1 million people.
Right. But you put a Pac-12 game on CBS at 4 in the afternoon on a Saturday, you can draw less than 1 million. It's been done recently. But you put them in an NCAA tournament game, put Arizona and Princeton on middle of the day on a Thursday or Friday. Oh, they'll find you. They will find you. Mm-hmm.
We love this tournament, but as you said, with so many of the good teams out, now this tournament has a little bit of the NHL playoffs to it. Like you and I talk about, it's the war of attrition in the NHL playoffs. You get a little bit of that because from a fan standpoint, because the fans are so in to the first 4 days. But then you got to carry them into the next Thursday. And that's not as easy to do without big name players and big name teams.
Basically,
And I do think the number one team in the tournament, Alabama, I'm waiting for this week for more talk about the events of the Alabama basketball team to start hitting the news. And it may be that they may have to get through the next week. I'm not talking about the sports news. I'm talking about the news.
Oh, you mean Brandon Miller and driving the gun that was used in a murder over to the scene? Well, I'll say this. Nick Saban kind of eviscerated Nate Oates yesterday at an Alabama presser in which he said, that whole thing about he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. No, he wasn't. All right. Because basically now, an Alabama football player's gotten in trouble.
Well, he was doing 141 miles an hour with a bunch of weed in the car.
Right. Well, I said an Alabama football player got in some trouble. I mean, you had to give the damn specifics. But yes, Mark, even in Tuscaloosa, that qualifies as trouble. even as an Alabama football player in Tuscaloosa, you're not allowed to do that.
Right.
I mean, we draw the line at about 110 miles an hour. Anything over that, well, you got to be in trouble. So then, of course, Nick's being asked, well, maybe this is just an outlaw athletic department. All righty. Get your popcorn ready. Here he goes. So don't you be comparing the basketball program to the football program. And okay. All right. Yep. So, but I
you
think
mean why he had $7,000 in cash? I got to do the weight to figure out how much weed he had. 226 grams. That's
is that a lot?
That's a lot.
Is it really?
Not a pound.
Okay.
But it's 14. Anyhow, it's a decent amount of weed, David, and a loaded gun.
Mark, I compare everything to when Nate Newton got caught with the entire trunk of his car full of weed. I always compare it to Nate Newton. How much weed do you have? Well,
a pound of weed. It was a pound of weed. I didn't do my math right. He had a pound of weed.
Okay. All right.
It's a pretty good amount.
That is. Weed is light.
That'll get you to a felony right there.
It sure will. So anyway, I think, San Diego State, Creighton, Princeton, I think Alabama scoots through this week. But Final Four week, that'll be the talk of the Final Four leading into the national semifinal on Saturday. Because Alabama's going to the Final Four. I mean, they're a draw.
They better.
I mean, man. 7-point favorites against San Diego State, and goodness knows how big a favorite they'll be against Creighton or Princeton. So
it is that time once again for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you got?
All right. I will shove the World Baseball Classic down your throat one more time until 24 hours from now when we talk about the final. But there was a walk-off last night in that Japan-Mexico game, and I'm going to play the American call, and then I'm going to play the Japanese call for you.
Cracked in the air, deep center field. Thomas on the move. It's off the wall. Otani's in to score. Here comes the winning run. Japan turns it around on its last breath.
Here's the Japanese call. This is what it means to these people. Sayonara, sayonara.
Terrible job by the color guy again. Stepped all over his play-by-play man. Stepped all over him. I couldn't understand a word they were saying. All I know, play-by-play guy was getting stepped all over.
You're right about
by
that.
the color analyst.
You're right about that.
Let the game breathe, for crying out loud.
Munetaka Murakami just turned 23 years old. He is the two-time. He's won the MVP, the last two MVPs of the JPCL, which is the Japan Baseball League. And last year in 141 games, he hit 56 home runs and had 134 RBIs, and he bat .318. This kid is 23 years old. Japan's got some players. And that's your play of the day.
Mark, Japan's like Georgia. They can really recruit.
That's Clutch with a K. I guess.
The K in Murakami, of course, stands for clutch.
If you say so, Felipe. If you say so. It's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Clutch with a K. Check them out at clutchspirits.com and look for Clutch Vodka anywhere that you buy your spirits.
That Japanese play-by-play guy has to learn how to do what Kevin Harlan did. Video is emerging of Furman's steal and three-pointer late, in which he stood up and stood in front of Stan Van Gundy and Dan Bonner and basically was like, "Don't talk!"
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Play the rejoiner. Oh. Hi, Pat.
Good morning, guys.
How are you?
Me, I'm good. I'm sitting in the parking lot of a doctor's office.
Oh, joy.
Yeah.
This the hand doctor?
Yeah. So I got to go away Sunday to the owners' meetings, and he only does this stuff on Tuesdays. And you got to come back on a Friday, 4 days later. So I said, it's this week or I will be gone again for another 2 weeks. So he just said, get your ass in early and we'll do it before the shop opens. And I said, great. Nurse is here. He's here. And then I'm in his parking lot doing the show. Gotta make you happy.
Love it. Where are the owners' meetings?
Phoenix at the Biltmore. There's only like 3 places they use. The Biltmore in Arizona. They used to place in California. They don't do it anymore. Over on the east coast of Florida there in Boca. Not Boca. In
Palm Beach at the Breakers.
Palm Beach, the Breakers. And once in a blue moon, they go to Orlando.
Well, they used to come to Naples, didn't or no?
No,
Orlando, that's right.
Competition committee used to come to Naples for about 25 years. So, but Troy Vincent got rid of Naples. He didn't like it. He likes Lauderdale. It broke the hearts of Stephen Jones and Jeff Fisher and all of my friends.
I can't believe they let him do it. Once again, it goes back to I don't understand all the power they give the competition committee.
Yeah, it's pathetic, and it's going to be the demise of someone, but not Roger. He's going to get that new deal Sunday. You know that, well, I love saying this on the air. He's going to make more money than Lamar wants.
You got that right, and fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So each club basically will be chipping in $1.7 million each for Roger's salary.
Well, I thought last year he made like 63 once bonuses and everything.
He had a $35 million salary and then bonuses.
Yeah.
He's still getting bonuses off the last CBA. He gets a lot of money if they close the CBA up. Hey, for the money the NFL makes, if you compare it to other big industries, what CEOs get, he's right in line with the big guys. But the best part of it is when Jerry and Bob Kraft fight over it. Jerry
I know. Well,
fire him.
It looks like Jerry's not going to fight this one.
He was embarrassed when the vote was 31-1.
Well, also when the owners basically said, you keep this up, we're going to sue you.
He would like that. I said this to you before, David. With each passing year, he looks more and more like Al Davis. And sooner or later, he's going to have the he's going to go down with a fight at the end of his career. He is going to try to take the NFL down. He can't help himself.
Oh, that'll be fantastic.
Yeah. He just has always felt like they don't listen to him enough. I was at his first meeting he ever came to, and he didn't even own the team for a week, and he was lecturing the owners on how to own. Priceless.
You think about that. He bought the Cowboys for what, 160 million?
And that was everything he had.
Everything he had. And the most money
time.
an NFL team had ever been sold for. I think it was like 163 million.
Yeah.
My God.
I told you before, Mr. Hess once said he was sitting in my office and the Eagles had just been bought by Laurie for $200 million. And he said, I never thought I'd live long enough to see someone pay $200 million for one of these things. Hey, when you're guaranteed to make 35% profit a year on your money,
I know.
There's nothing better than an NFL team. Let's see what happens with the Commanders here.
Yeah.
Close.
No.
I would hope Big Josh from the Devils wins it.
5 seconds.
Here we go, boys.
That would mean something to me.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan fits us into his busy schedule right now. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us twice a week through the draft, courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Top of the morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning, fellas. Good to hear your voices and be part of the show. And still tracking free agency, Mark. We're up to 126 one-year deals. We're going to get to about 225. Think about that. Another flood on the market next year. These guys, and it's only the beginning of week 2. We're going to go all the way into July with this. So we might get to 300 one-year deals.
You know, Pat, and I don't want to get into collusion, but everybody's so worried about Lamar Jackson and collusion and all of these things. In the meantime, the NFL has really made this almost a one-year league. The number of free agent contracts that are 2 and 3 years, it's ridiculously low. And it's something that I don't know if the players can do anything about, Pat.
No, because there's no other place to go. And I've said it 100 times. There is no other league that pays. So you have one choice. And if you decide not to play in the NFL, you're not going to make any money anywhere else in the planet, on the planet, under the planet, playing football. And so that's the story. And so people that have attempted other leagues, we knew there was one that worked, the AFL, and then they merged. The NFL took them in. So here's the tracking numbers. 126 one-year deals, 78 two-year deals. Half of those deals are going to liquidate after 1 year because the second year is a dummy year. 57 three-year deals, 18 four-year deals, and 1 5-year deal. That stands from last week. So that's the league, and we got a lot of free agents left. So, yeah, it's a one-year league. But you know what? The owners have always wanted that, and they didn't have to really force it on anybody. They're lined up at the door trying to get jobs, and what are they going to say? No.
Pat, some teams are conducting business in an interesting way, maybe a good way. You know, Jacksonville spent the most money last year. They're hardly doing anything right now. In fact, they got some of their own free agents who are kind of like, I'd really like to re-sign, but it's kind of hard to get them on the phone. Dallas has not spent a dime on a player from outside their own organization. Yet the Texans and the Bears, they're signing a bunch of people. Short-term deals. They're paying them pretty good freight. And guys are going to bad teams to get paid because, well, teams aren't paying.
No, there was 2 years at the Jets where when I was there that we had bad football team. I had no problem getting very good players to come there. Sometimes, occasionally, I had to pay a bit of a premium, but mostly not. You just competed with the market, and if you were giving them $1 more, they'd come. So money won all the time. James Harris said it the best to me. He goes, Pat, in God we trust is still the most powerful saying in the NFL. $1 more, you win the guy. And so nothing's changed since the beginning of free agency. They begged for free agency. What they eliminated was the middle class in the National Football League, and they put everybody on rental contracts. That's all these are, rental contracts. We'll rent you for a year, 17 games. But let me go back to your Dallas point. The Dallas did trade for Gilmore and Cooks, and then they've just redone Cook's deal. So they're using the trade market in a way to keep this team that they think is pretty good together. With Cooks and Gilmore are factors. They're not the greatest players, but they're not average players either.
Cook's got a 4th and a 5th. What does that make D-Hop worth, Pat?
Well, D-Hop in his contract, that's what works against the club, the home club, that they realize that everyone knows they're trying to get out of a deal. I would say that D-Hop is going to be a 3. That might be a 4, one of those kind of things. I don't think you can look at the player's talent anymore and think, I can equate that to draft compensation. You got to put the contract trumps the talent. That's really what's going on with those.
The Eagles have lost a lot, which you figured they were going to have to. They were right at the cap, and they had a host of free agents. The Vikings have decided to lose a lot from their defense, considering the fact it graded out as the second worst defense in the league. It's probably a smart decision. But do you think that there's a team that was really good last year that has taken a clear step back because, so far anyway, because of what they've lost?
Well, let's go back to your Eagle question, because they've lost things, but they've also kept things. Now, I'm not a big fan of Fletcher Cox at his age, but he's retained Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey, James Bradbury, Boston Scott. So they've kept some of the guys that they had. But they've been wounded. If you look at the guys that they've lost, that Hargrave is probably the biggest loss. White was a starter. Edwards was a starter. Gardner Johnson was a starter. So they've lost those guys. They replaced the running back situation. So they're 50-50 on losses and gains. Guys in cap trouble, we can do this every year, but Mickey Loomis, he just and he's not a miracle worker. He just understands cash over cap, and he's always on the ledge. But here's what I'd say to you two. I admire him a lot. He's down here right now getting ready to play golf. I'll probably see him for dinner. But they haven't won a Super Bowl in a long time. What they're doing is staying competitive, but are they inching closer to a Super Bowl, or are they kind of sliding back a little bit each time? Now, with all the quarterbacks leaving the NFC South, you would say with Carr, but we know Carr. Carr could turn around and have one of those, let's throw an interception, the game's on the line. He's good for those.
Pat, the running back position's already been devalued. Are we watching other positions be devalued? It seems like tight end and safety are etching ever closer to the running back spot of losing their value on the open market.
There's no doubt that the tight end market it's not going to go. First off, it's always had one of the lowest franchise tags historically, all the way back to the 90s. If you wanted to retain a tight end in a franchise tag, it was a cheap tag. What's that tell you? They've never paid tight ends. And when the tight end tries to argue he's a wide receiver, the NFL has established it doesn't mean if he lines up out there, he's a wide receiver. He's a tight end. So they suppressed that world that the pass rusher outside linebacker was able to link themselves to the defensive end by how many times did he rush versus how many times he dropped. The tight end was not able to prove that because I'm lined up wide, I'm a wide receiver. So it's a cheap tag. You would think that would keep the growth of the position, but there's not a lot of tight ends. And this position is really a great example, Dave and Mark, of tying your knowledge to the draft, because the draft's really good for tight ends. So they're not going to go buy these tight ends because they know there's 6 or 7 of them coming out. And so, and the tight end in college has become a really good athlete. He's no longer the third guard or the third tackle. He's a real receiver. So you can find good ones. That suppressed the market.
The thought is this year's tight end class, there's a first rounder, there's a second rounder, and there's at least 2 third rounders. So
Right.
and that's why when the Giants made the trade for Waller, there were a lot of people that thought the Giants were going to grab one of those top 4 tight ends, but now they figure not to, so somebody else will. He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. He joins us twice a week through the draft, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and over a dozen locations in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. I referenced an interview that you and your co-host Jim Miller did with Jeff Wilson late last week, in which I have to admit I have not heard a player in March be that enthusiastic about the team he's on for next season and the coach he is playing for. I mean, honestly, Pat, he sounded more like a player on a high school or a college team, raving about Mike McDaniel and raving about Tua and the locker room and how much those guys all love one another. I had to check the standings again and make sure what team he was on. Did it strike you the way it struck me?
Yeah, and I was the one who probed him on Mike McDaniel. And he's a good guy to ask about Mike because he played for him in San Francisco. He's been in that room at halftime when Mike comes up with different stuff. And that's where the belief and the trust in the coach comes from for Jeff, Mostert as well. They're optimistic, but a lot of guys this time of year think their team, they talk like their team's undefeated because they haven't played. But one thing in South Florida, they have all come to learn how to defend Tua. They know the question's coming. Everyone who interviews a Dolphin asks about Tua, and they're pretty well trained. And they do like Tua. And they do like the idea. Look, do you think any player wants to admit concussions lead to concussions? Because they all get them. And the last thing they want is a label that 2 concussions means you should retire. So they'll defend him as long as the day is long. And he's good at it. They know what's coming up, though. They're going to have to be defending Rodgers and Buffalo. And let's see where the Patriots land up in this whole thing. But, yeah, they're very excited down there. But they've been excited before.
That was the rumor that came out yesterday that the Patriots may have some interest in Lamar Jackson. First off, do you believe it?
No.
No.
No?
And I don't believe it for anybody, Colts included. Look, after the first few guys said they're not interested and the union started trying to bash them for it, everyone's now chosen their words differently in regards to how to handle the question of Lamar. First off, Lamar isn't going to take back one offer to the Ravens. He wants a fully guaranteed deal. And if he takes back a deal that's partially guaranteed, the Ravens will match it. And he will have lost his battle along with all the money he's lost. I'm sure you guys talk about how much money he's lost as compared to Josh Allen. Everyone knows the numbers. It's around 40 million. And the kid's dug his heels in. He's not bringing back an offer. And nobody is going to offer him $250 fully guaranteed.
Pat, what if somebody
Not
were to
that good.
offer him like a Cousins? You know, Cousins has signed 2 3-year fully guaranteed deals. What if the Colts or somebody were to give him a 3 for, I don't know, 144, which is 48 a year, fully guarantee, but only guarantee 3. Lamar can play 26, 27, 28 years of age and then do it all over again. Do you think the Ravens would match a short-term fully guaranteed deal?
Absolutely. They already offered him 3 for 135 a year ago. So
Yeah, but that was a knee injury ago.
Well, he hasn't played yet. They would do that. They'd match that deal. Look, they're looking for someone to do the negotiations with him because they're frustrated about it. And that means the kid has to get a club to do that. He has no help. So, yeah, they would do that because you know what they do then? They tag him for the 4th year. They got another tag waiting there, David.
Cam Newton's going to throw at the Auburn Pro Day. Can he still play in the league?
No. You got to be able to throw from the neck up, too. He's not real good at that part. No.
Pat, who's still out there free agent wise that you're surprised is still out there?
In order, Bobby Wagner. I thought Bobby'd be gone by now. He's number one. Schultz just got signed. Frank Clark. There's a guy that I think someone should go. Marcus Peters, Ngakwe, Leonard Floyd, Taylor Rapp. I think they're getting close with Taylor, I believe, up in New England. Some of these will get closed out today. DJ Shark getting close in Carolina. So those are the first names. Matt Ryan. You know, I said this the other day to you guys. There are 10 teams that have no backup quarterback. I'd be looking at this situation. Matt Ryan, to me, if they wanted him, I would go to Arizona and play the first 6 weeks and then go sit on the bench. They don't even have a quarterback that can play. Colt McCoy's still hurt.
By the way, Pat mentioned Dalton Schultz signed. If you missed it late yesterday, 1 year, $9 million with the Texans. The Texans also signed Devin Singletary to a 1-year deal. Could be worth up to $4 million. Pat, any news going to come out of these owners' meetings besides Goodell's contract extension?
Yeah, they'll be dealing with the rules and modifications of things. And when I get out there, I'll definitely call you guys before the vote. I'll have gone around and paged and talked to a bunch of guys of who they're going to vote for, what they're going to vote for, and make sure your listeners are a little ahead of that subject. So that's always interesting to me. And then you can't trust the competition committee because on Wednesday morning, they tell the coaches to go play golf. And that's when they vote in all the stuff that, the coaches hate. I'll be paying attention to that day. I tell every coach who goes by, don't play golf.
Right.
Wait till you go home.
He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS's NFL Today show, and he joins us twice a week, usually Tuesdays and Fridays, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and over a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Pat, be well. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, $4 million for Odell. Do it.
Totally. If he'd say yes.
He'll say yes sooner or later.
Yeah, that's true. So far, the answer is no. Miller and Moulton. 2 hours down. 1 to go in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Stay with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Who's Big E? Has Big E been picked up yet? Who's Big E? Is that Evan Ingram? Didn't the Jags tag him? Oh, Zeke.
No.
The most fun to drive on
Man.
Now, clear skies and 66 degrees. Do you open the roof tonight or do you keep it closed?
I would open it always.
Me too. They never do. It really annoys me. Because when that roof is open, that stadium is gorgeous. We're coming.
Agreed.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Third and final hour of Miller and Moulton in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We're just halfway home for those that listen to the 239. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our bonus hour, 1 hour from now, will include Jim Larranaga, Canes head coach. We will replay that interview for you tomorrow morning, probably around 7 o'clock along the network. Our conversation with Canes head coach Jim Larranaga, second straight year they're in the Sweet 16, fourth time in the last 10 NCAA tournaments, Mark, that the Canes are in the Sweet 16. Because, Mark, what do we know about Miami?
I think I know.
Let's see.
I think that they're a basketball school.
There we go.
There you go.
And I think that if you make the Sweet 16 4 out of 10 years, that makes you a basketball school.
And not only that, the women backed it up with a major upset last night, taking out top-seeded Indiana. So the men and women of Miami own the Indiana Hoosiers in basketball. Ooh, what a painful pill that is to swallow.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Look at you. But Coach L will join us coming up at the top of the hour. And for those along the network, we'll replay that interview tomorrow morning. Heck of a show tomorrow, by the way. Seth Everett and EJ Raddick talking a little hockey with one of the most foremost hockey writers and commentators in the business. He will join us on the show in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow.
We have poll questions up. Questions. Multiple.
Wow.
All based on the World Baseball Classic, the tournament that Felipe cannot get enough of. How much of the World Baseball Classic have you watched? A lot, some, or none? Right now, none is winning with 40.
No.
Well, of course it's winning. Now, it still means that 56% of you are watching a lot or some of it. Votes are low because, of course, it's a sports question.
Right. And a baseball question at that. So.
And then we just simply asked, will you watch tonight's World Baseball Classic final, of which 2/3 of you say you will watch?
Really?
But again, voting is very, very low.
U.S. and Japan, 7 o'clock tonight, FS1. It is hysterical. I don't know why they continue to do it. I mean, how dumb does ESPN think we are? I almost feel like Gene Rayburn in Match Game.
How dumb are we?
So we all know that, and Fox does it too, in fairness. This is not just a four-letter network thing. So both major sports cable networks think, listen, if there's a sporting event going on, but we're not airing it, how about if we just ignore it or bury the heck out of it? Like if you tried to go on ESPN.com all weekend, you know what was going on all weekend, right? You know, a 15 seed went to the Sweet 16, a 16 seed won a game, nearly won two. You know, the big boys, no Kansas, Kentucky, no Duke. I mean, this March Madness thing's pretty popular. Yeah, you go on the ESPN.com homepage, you couldn't find anything about any of it. Now, you want to know about the UConn women? Oh, yeah, it's right there. Right. Because they've got the women, see, and Turner and CBS have the men.
I noticed it on Saturday or Sunday morning because during college football season, if you throw on ESPNU anytime before 8 a.m., it is college football final on repeat.
Right.
And so I kind of got up and I'm like, I think it was Saturday morning and I wanted to see highlights from some of the 10 o'clock games and just kind of go through the day. David, the ESPNU, they're showing like a lacrosse game.
Right.
Where you would think it would be nonstop basketball coverage on ESPNU. They are acting as if the tournament's not going on.
Right, because it's not, see, because they're not airing it. Just like Sports Center last night. Now think of the sports night last night. You got some NFL news, there's no doubt. And listen, you can never go wrong if you put the NFL news pretty high up in the show, the whole deal. You got the NCAA women's tournament, and you had a major upset, a 1 seed going down, had a couple of other surprises. Okay, fine. Julius Randle with a 57-point night, only the third Nick, I think, to score 50 or more in a game. Yeah, okay. I mean, they lost, but whatever. Run with it. Hell, you want to throw in some hockey. ESPN televises hockey. Throw in some hockey. Do you know when the World Baseball Classic made the Sports Center last night? 45 minutes into the Sports Center. They go Japan, Mexico. Seriously? Seriously. But, hey, they're not a part of it. They're not a part of it. Therefore, it's not really happening. And Fox does the same thing. Oh, my goodness, does Fox do the same thing? And their website's horrible to begin with.
Well, where it will really be interesting is to see how they handle college football coming up this year. Because Game Day has been the authority for college football now for over a generation. And they covered the sport reasonably equally.
Yeah.
The SEC has been getting more and more coverage as they've been in bed with the SEC here, but they still cover the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and cover college football at large pretty damn well.
Yeah.
And I thought with McAfee on the show had new life, new energy, and it's as good as it's been in a while.
And the ratings, by the way, showed that.
But now that we have a clear line in the sand of who's carrying what, how will they react come the fall, David? Will the Big Ten be dead to ESPN?
Exactly. There should be like a buzzer, a bell, or we should have a prop bet every week. How long will it take for ESPN to mention the Big Ten? Now,
I'm willing to do this for the show. If we want to set me up in a bar somewhere for a live Twitch cast of me with shots and beers in front of me, I'm willing to knock a beer down every time they mention the Big Ten because I don't think they'll do it.
Now, we could also, just like today, where we have not one but two poll questions, we could have how long will it take for ESPN on game day to mention the Big Ten? But we could also have how long will it take for them to mention the Big Ten that doesn't involve Ohio State? And if you add Michigan to it, I mean, between Herb Street and Desmond, so we could go with two bets, just in general, how long will it take for them week to week to be mentioning the Big Ten? And I think you got to go 30 minutes. I think that the over-under's got to be whether or not it gets mentioned in the first half hour of the show. And you could have 3 Big Ten teams in the preseason top 10, by the way. I mean, no big deal or anything. Just saying. But so that's all. It's shocking to me that at this stage, it's 2023. This isn't 15 years ago when, we're only a handful of years into social media and people getting a lot of information off websites. And, it's 2023. Come on now. I mean, a lot of us are streaming a lot of different things, for goodness sakes. In fact, your business model is going more and more towards streaming. I mean, come on now. Treat us with a little respect, a little bit of intelligence. We're a sports fan. We know what is going on. Yeah, we know there are some things you guys don't have the contracts with. You can't have everything. You only got so much money. We get it. But don't try to pretend it's not happening. I mean, come on.
But they will, and they will continue to try. I think, by the way, 30 minutes is too long. I think you'll get through the A block every time. I think in the B block, they'll mention a Big Ten team. Too many. The problem is, David, there are too many people who follow Big Ten football who are watching game day. You can't alienate that many eyeballs.
And maybe, Mark, they mentioned the Big Ten in the 9 o'clock hour because Fox hasn't come on the air yet. But I'll be curious how often then beginning at 10 o'clock, once Fox's pregame is airing, in which Fox is going to be at a Big Ten game every week, basically, unless they're at Oklahoma, Texas for one more time. I mean, but it's just, I'm just, come on, guys. That's all. It's just an appeal. It's like, listen, this has been cute. This has been fun. We've all noticed. Just like we noticed for 10, 15 years, you shoved soccer down our throat. Now we're at the point where we're okay with it. So, and guess what? Now you're not shoving it as much. I mean, it's funny. When we didn't want it, you gave it to us nonstop. Now we're okay with it. You're backing off. It's like, just come on.
Yeah, when the first top 10 plays had 7 soccer plays in it, it was like, we get it, guys. We get where your agenda is here. You're really trying to push this on us.
Right. I mean, that's like not covering the World Cup because it's on Fox. I mean, come on. I mean, at some point, just cover the damn sports, will you? You got sports in your name, for goodness sakes. But
Miller and Moulton text line is 21,000. Are you watching the World Baseball Classic tonight? USA's in the final. This is a big deal.
Well, apparently 40 to 50% of Japan is watching these games.
Right. 48% of the televisions or 46% of the televisions were on in Japan on baseball against their game against Italy.
It's 61 million people. That's the number they said. 61 million.
I mean, that's better than an NFC championship game. I'm just saying. That's like the highest rated conference championship games we've ever had. I mean, to put it in perspective, that's Chiefs Patriots going overtime a few years ago. I mean, that's the kind of numbers we're talking here.
That's what's amazing. There'll be 60, 80 million people in Japan watching this game, and there won't be 6 million people watching it in the States.
No.
No.
Not even close.
No.
You think it'll pull under 6 million?
Yes.
Oh, Felipe.
It won't do 3.
Yes. Felipe, Fox would be thrilled. Oh, my goodness. If 3 million people watch tonight's game on FS1 on a Tuesday, baseball, Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, in BP yesterday, Shohei hit a home run that went so far that it hit the giant jumbotron in straight center field at Lone Depot Park.
That's cool.
He had to have been created in a lab. There's not a single aspect of the game of baseball that he doesn't excel at. He's a great base runner. He's fast.
It's called a 5-tool player.
Well, he's a 5 million tool player.
It goes back to Willie Mays, 5-tool player.
Oh wow, Canada. That's so random, but cool. 1-2-3, 1-2-3 is the last day of the year. I look at World Baseball Classic, but the Leaves are playing too. All right.
Yeah, let's see. It starts at 7. It'll end at 11. Do I want to invest 4 hours?
I think you can. Yeah.
Maybe 10:30. Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like this has the potential to be a game that ends on a walk-off.
First off, you take a look at the pitching. I mean, you know, it's not like this is Ohtani against Verlander here. You know, I mean, this deep into the tournament, they're throwing arms that. I mean, who's the U.S. starter again?
Well, they had Wainwright last game. Let me see. Merrill Kelly from the Diamondbacks.
Oh, I mean, gosh, how am I going to miss this game with Merrill Kelly on the mound tonight? This screams World Baseball Classic to me. This is a fine. How do you miss this?
Exactly.
Scherzer, Verlander. Who's this guy again?
Merrill Kelly.
Merrill Hodge.
No Kershaw because of his back. He couldn't get the proper insurance.
I'll play for my country if I can get the right insurance. Philly looks like he's going on tour with Soundgarden today.
Oh, here we go. What's it? The style again?
Grunge.
Grunge, yeah.
I mean, nothing matches. The hat doesn't match the shirt, doesn't match the shirt under. I mean, you are just a train wreck today. It's very grunge, Felipe. You need jeans on, though.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Jim Larranaga to join us at the top of the hour. We understand for a good many of you, you don't get our bonus hour. That's just in the 239. So we'll replay the Jim Larranaga interview tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Canes, fourth time in the last 10 tournaments in the Sweet 16. Yet to make the Final Four, made it to the Elite Eight last year. Taking on top-seeded Houston. They'll get the Nance CBS treatment, baby, if you're playing Houston. And then in theory, if you win, you're getting the Nance CBS treatment for the region final. It's not like Jim's getting up and going somewhere else.
He might. If Houston loses, he might just be done right at that moment.
Come on now. You got Texas and Xavier on the other side. He'll stay for the Longhorn ratings. Now, if Xavier and Miami win, he may just say to Iron Eagle, hey, you can take over a half a year early. Knock yourself out.
Canes getting it done thus far. Can they take down Houston, a 1 seed?
I like the matchup. I do. I like the matchup. And I love the fact that they played both style of games to get here. They played the rock fight against Drake and ended up winning it late, even when their top 2 scorers were not good.
Well, that's what I love, is the fact that they've already had a C+ game out of their best players. That to me, and they won. Usually when that happens, you lose. So they got away with a less than great performance out of their big guns and were able to get out with a win. You need breaks.
I think you're being generous calling that CC+. I mean, those two guys, they scored 46 points against Indiana. They scored 12 against Drake. I mean, come on. That Friday night game, I mean, Miami looked like they were going home for an hour and a half. I mean, that had, man, we picked the wrong time to throw a clunker written all over it. And now, next thing you know, here they are in the Sweet 16, and they got nothing to lose against Houston. Nothing. They're getting 7, by the way. Miami's a pretty darn good team to give 7 points. Neutral floor? 7? Really? I don't know. I mean, I expect it to be more like the Drake game. I expect it's Houston. It'll be a rock fight. I think this game's got 64, 61 written all over it, which is another reason why I think I like the 7. I don't think there's going to be a ton of scoring in this game. I'll be shocked if this game is 78-74.
David, I would actually look at this game as that if someone wins by 10 or 12, I think it's Miami.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. It doesn't mean they're going to win. But if someone pulls away and wins in this game, I like the way Miami's offense plays a hell of a lot better than the way I like Houston's offense. I think Miami has the ability to score more points. It's just whether or not Houston can slow them down.
Do you buy into the rest theory? Because like Tennessee played Duke early in the afternoon Saturday and won. Tennessee was on the Thursday-Saturday schedule. And their game was 2:30, I believe, Saturday afternoon. By 4:30, they were in the Sweet 16. FAU wasn't in the Sweet 16 for like another 32 hours. I mean, Tennessee was in the Sweet 16 and they were home and they were chilling and they were eating pizza before FAU was even walking out onto the floor against FDU.
No, not in this round. I thought Michigan State got a little bit of a break. Like they played the noon game on Friday and then didn't play until 6 o'clock on Sunday. So they got an extra few hours. I think that gives the coaches even more time. But I don't think in the Sunday to Thursday, Saturday to Thursday, I don't think the rest makes any difference.
I'm actually a little concerned for FAU. They played till late Sunday night. All right. They had to fly home. Now, in the tournament, you do fly private. The NCAA does provide, the private flights. I mean, it's not, a 12-seater, but I'm just saying that, you've got your own plane, you leave when you're ready to leave and, that sort of deal. I mean, it's not like you're going to LaGuardia and you're hoping that your flight's on time. So, but I mean, they probably got home market 3 a.m. yesterday, maybe, and they're playing Thursday night. I mean, I'm expecting FAU to be traveling later today. I'll bet you they're home for like 36 hours before they're getting on the road and going to New York City.
Just enough time to get all their schoolwork for the next week, David.
Exactly. It's when I knew 10 years ago FGCU was in deep trouble against the Gators in the Sweet 16. When I came downstairs, I'm looking for breakfast, and I'm like, where the heck is everybody? And I find out they're in a big conference room down the hall, and they're having a 2-hour study session. The whole team's doing schoolwork. It's Good Friday, and they're doing 2 hours worth of studying. And I just remember looking and saying to somebody, do you really think the Gators are doing study hall right now?
What about breathing exercises? I don't know how much of Marquette and Michigan State you watched, but did you catch the point where Shaka Smart led the team in a timeout through breathing exercises for the first minute of the timeout or 30 seconds or whatever the hell it was?
It is one of my favorite questions that we ask of the coaches. What do you do to get, we asked it of Josh Pastner yesterday. We're going to ask it, I am at least, of Jim Larranaga coming up here when we talk to him. I'm going to say, Friday night when you guys are spitting the bit, playing badly against Drake, how do you finally get them to relax and just play? And that's what Shaka's doing. Shaka's like, okay, guys, just forget. This isn't about basketball at this point. Breathe, stretch your arms out, in and out, in, out.
I never gave the guy that I'm helping coach my daughter's softball team with all the credit. He always tells the girls up there at the plate, take a deep breath. Apparently that's the key to all athletics these days. We need more breathing exercises during timeouts. I mean, even though Marquette didn't win, they came back at that point, started making it a game.
But come on now, you and I are into golf. How much do they talk about controlling your breathing? Just take it easy. It'll be okay. It is one of the things that fascinates me, though, because we've all seen the coaches who, what do? They bench a guy, especially in basketball or hockey. You can put him on the bench for a few minutes. It's like, listen, you go back. I mean, even the best college basketball player of the last 30 years is Christian Laettner. I mean, he really is. His career was ridiculous. His final college game against the Fab Five, he's choking. He's awful in the first half. Coach K sits him twice. He's so bad. He's like, sit down. You're useless to us right now. And by the second half, he became Christian Laettner again. And Michigan was in big trouble.
Because this just in, when he became Christian Laettner, he didn't lose.
Right. But I find that, Mark, very fascinating. Always have. How as a coach do you get your team to chill and just play in the pressure situation? When you bench them, that's why when Larranaga sat as leading scorer with 6 minutes to go down 8, I'm like, let me tell you, that's onions right there as a coach. It's one thing to do it in the first half. It's another thing to do it when you're 6 minutes away from going home.
And it's really another thing to say, keep chucking it to your best player because you want him to score, to have the guts to sit him and rely on others when you're not getting the offense that you expect. Jim Larranaga got it done. Miami, they're in the Sweet 16 taking on Houston. Miller and Moulton. The text line's open at 21,000. Any of your comments? Jim Larranaga will join us in the bonus hour coming up in 30 minutes. Back with more in a moment right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Not a pitch, Logic Man. Not a pitch. I know it was a great game and it was a walk-off, and I'm sure I missed out on a lot. In fact, I don't even know how I'm going to get through the day.
So if you're the Angels right now, I may bring this up. How do you feel? Because Japan wants to pitch Ohtani in some way, shape, or form. They want to pitch him. He wants to pitch. And you're the Angels and you want to re-sign him. So if you go, hell no, he ain't pitching, we ain't risking him getting hurt, he's not going to like that very much.
Right. I'll tell both of you right now. When Ohtani comes in to pitch, text me.
Will do.
Okay.
I think you're going to see, and also same thing if you're the Padres. What's 36, 37-year-old Yu Darvish? He apparently is available to pitch in relief tonight. Oh, hell.
Against Merrill Hodge. An American hero.
I think it's Merrill Kelly, Johnny Mac. I don't think it's Merle. I think it's Merrill.
It's Merrill. 2 R's, 2 R's, and 2 L's. Merrill, I believe.
I mean, he's a household name. I mean, he pitches to the Diamondbacks, for goodness sake. I mean, come on. Ohtani can speak English. He answered a question in English last night. He can speak English. But Logic Man, I'll tell you what. You put yourself in their shoes. You go play in another country, and 7 years from now, you do all your interviews in Japanese. I actually think it's remarkable, the people from other countries who come over to this country and learn English as a second language. And I honestly,
I've watched it firsthand. I remember Igar Cyprus, who played for our hockey team in Nashville, couldn't speak a lick of English. And here's a kid from the Bronx teaching him English.
His translator, he almost messed up last night.
He's just checking the phones. This is something that needs to be done at 5:37, not 8:37.
I know, but Tig came in yesterday and fixed something in the phone, so I just want to make sure that, So, better phones now. Hooray. "15 seconds. Mel Kiper's face is funny.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. 2 poll questions today. Not 1, but 2. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com. 2. Both having to do with the World Baseball Classic. So none of you are interested in participating in these poll questions.
The first one is, will you watch tonight's World Baseball Classic final? Nearly 2/3 of you are saying that you will. That's a good sign for baseball, and I'm not even being slightly joking, no sarcasm. Even though the vote's not that big, if half the people or 2/3 of the people who are listening to the show say they're watching the World Baseball Classic, that's going to give it a monster number. I don't see it happening, but that's going to give us a monster number. Now, 51% of you have said you haven't watched any of the World Baseball Classic. We asked how much you're watching. A lot, a little, none. 51% of you are not watching any, have not watched any of the World Baseball Classic, but 2/3 of you say you're watching tonight.
Well, but don't you fit both majority answers?
Yes.
You have not watched any. You figure to give it a look-see in some way, shape, or form tonight.
I turned on USA Cuba and we were blowing them out, so I didn't bother to watch.
Right. You watched like a minute and a half and realized it's 13-2. I'm out of here.
Right.
Okay. How about, but listen, you're going to get very angry with me right now.
No.
Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance. All right. Because I'm going to get a little nitty-gritty about a game that, we don't even know how much of our audience even cares about. But I am fascinated by this. One of the storylines to this whole World Baseball Classic thing has been the injuries. There have been 2 major injuries. The Mets lost their closer, arguably last year, the best closer in baseball, in a freakish post-game celebration in which he blew out his right knee. And then the Astros are going to lose Altuve till at least Memorial Day, maybe longer, because he got hit by a pitch in the Venezuela-USA game, and he broke his right thumb. That's a problem. That's surgery, 10 weeks, the whole deal. So, okay. So now here we are. We're the final. And you're the GM of a team, and you're outside of the Mets and the Astros. You're one of the other 28 GMs, and you're like, man, we're so close to getting our guys back and healthy. And particularly, Mark, you're the Angels general manager. You got Trout and Ohtani in this sucker. You got one more night. Man, come on. Can we just get through this? Well, there's some intrigue about the game tonight. This just in, Mark, this Ohtani guy can also pitch.
Yes, I've heard that.
Right. It's why it makes him kind of a freakish thing. He's our version of Babe Ruth, only a lot thinner. And so, come on, it's the biggest game. Half of the country in Japan's watching these games. I mean, 60 million people's watching. You're doing a 44 rating, for goodness sakes. I mean, seriously, this will be the most watched sporting. There are more people watching. This is true. This is not exaggeration. There are more people watching Japan in the World Baseball Classic than watched anything in the Tokyo Olympics in Japan. Think about that. This is more popular than any of the 16 days of the Olympics. And now they're in the final against the U.S. Ohtani's been DHing. Okay. I mean, the Angels kind of said, if you could DH him instead of putting him in the field, we'd appreciate it. So they said, okay, we'll make that concession. So he's DHing. Mark, when you're pitching, you have to warm up. And so the thought is, it's like, can he pitch? And they're giving coy answers. So obviously, he's available to pitch tonight.
And wants to pitch.
And he does want to pitch. Obviously, he wants to win. Well, if you're the Angels, you don't want him pitching.
Well, you don't want him playing, but you certainly don't want him pitching.
But you can't say that because he's entering the final year of his contract.
Yeah, now there we go. Kind of puts you between a rock and a hard place, doesn't it? You can't tell him he can't pitch, and you don't want him to pitch.
And he wants to pitch, and they want to pitch him. Okay, so when do you pitch him? Because you want to give him proper warm-up. And can you give him proper warm-up when he's DHing? See, remember, when he's with the Angels, he starts. We're being led to believe he's not starting. They've got this lefty they're throwing. But they've got Yu Darvish and Ohtani available to pitch in relief. One guy's 37, and the Padres are probably like, yeah, could you not pitch him, please? He's like our number one starter, please. We're one day away from getting him back healthy. Could you not pitch him? And meanwhile, he's like, no, I want to pitch. And then there's Ohtani going, no, I really want to pitch. So what are you going to do? DH him for 3-4 innings? And then what? After he bats in the top of the fourth, he's going to go underneath the stadium and throw for 8-10 minutes? I mean, you really going to run him all the way down to the outfield bullpen and warm him up and then bring him in? I mean, you said something during the break, and I'm definitely going to do it. When Ohtani pitches, text me. I'm all in. I want to see how they handle it. They're going to do it in private. We're not going to know he's warming up, and all of a sudden he's going to walk out onto the mound in the fifth inning. Or are they actually going to warm him up in the bullpen? And we're like, I'll be damned. He's coming in.
Would be something. He makes the last out in the fourth inning and just trots down to the bullpen to start warming up. And you're like, well, looks like he's going to pitch the 6th or the 7th. I don't know how that's going to work, but he's not coming in here, but he should be in the next inning.
How about if he's already done his warm-up? He makes the last out in the top of the 5th, and he just walks to the mound and gets on it, and somebody runs out and hands him his glove. He throws his 9 warm-up pitches, and he's ready to go. It's like when we all played, Little League and high school ball and what have you. Just, grab Tommy's glove out there and just go throw a couple innings. Yeah, okay. Never mind, honestly. Do you think even in batting practice, do you think in spring training ever, do you think Ohtani has ever thrown to Trout?
No.
I don't either.
No, because they wouldn't do it in spring training. They wouldn't be given a full effort. They wouldn't, even if they did, it would be batting practice. They're not playing simulated games and, hey, how about you get in there and let's see if I can strike you out? No, I don't buy that happens. Not one bit.
I mean,
and Ohtani has said he wants to pitch to Trout.
Yes.
Not only does he want to pitch, he wants to pitch to Trout.
Well, there's a good chance. I mean, if they're putting him in, I don't think it's for 3 outs. I don't. I mean, if you're going to use him, use him. So, it just, you don't usually get this kind of strategy involved in a baseball game. But I mean, Japanese manager, he may be trying to like go through the U.S. lineup once with the lefty and then go with Darvish and Ohtani to try to get the rest of the outs.
How interested are you in tonight's World Baseball Classic final? It's our poll question. Are you watching? 21,000 is the text line, 21000. Curious, Felipe and David have done an amazing job of trying to sell you this tournament over the course of the last few days. Felipe went to a game. David's taken in quite a few. I have not. It's exhibition baseball, but I'm in tonight.
Mookie Betts has played second base in this tournament to get some of the outfield bats into the lineup. He's played second. And apparently he's told the Dodgers he's got no problem playing the infield. You need me to play second? I'll play second. He said that when he went to them when Judge reached free agency, and he said, listen, don't not go for Judge because I'm playing right field. You can go sign Judge. I'll play second. I saw him play 2 innings at second base against Cuba the other night. He fielded a ball going to his left cleanly, too. Nice play.
So the World Baseball Classic is tonight, the final. There is intrigue because of the whole Ohtani Trout situation and how they're going to, if they're going to throw Ohtani. What channel is it on again? Probably should give that out a couple of times.
It's FS1.
FS1. There it is.
Come on now. This is not
FS2.
This is not the LIV on CW, okay? I mean, come on now. People do not have to look up where this channel is, please. But we had someone in our Twitch chat room go, I don't get FS1. We're thinking, what are you, got like an antenna and you're standing there with your arms outstretched? I mean,
Where else do you watch Minnesota against Nebraska?
Right. Come on now. Where are you watching the Xfinity Truck Series? I mean, please.
Nothing screams Michigan State, Indiana football quite like FS1.
So Joe Davis, John Smoltz with the call tonight.
The A crew, the World Series crew. They're treating the World Baseball Classic like a World Series.
Listen, if you're Joe Davis, you want to be doing Dodgers spring training? You want to be doing this?
This.
Please. I am. I'm curious about everything tonight. I want to know the crowd dynamic. What percentage is Japan? What percentage is U.S.? What percentage are people from Mexico and Cuba and the Dominican Republic who bought tickets thinking their team was going to make the final and they stayed in town and they're going to root probably what? They rooting pro-U.S.? They rooting against the U.S.? I'm guessing the Mexican fans would root against the U.S.? Okay.
If they go, like yesterday wasn't tickets like $800 for the finals yesterday on StubHub?
Whoa. Where are you sitting?
Well, I would take a seat anywhere.
I think nosebleeds are like $150. And again, this is a final, so I guess that makes sense. There's a lot.
I would love that little center field bleacher there at Lone Depot Park there. I've always found those seats intriguing. They never sell tickets to them because there's not enough people that go to Marlins games to sell tickets out there. But
I was going to say what I do is that I buy the cheapest ticket and sit wherever I want. And a lot of times I go to Marlins games and I sit there and I heckle at whoever's playing center field. Starling Marte used to be a Marlin, and I used to play rock, paper, scissors with him.
$100 get you in the door tonight. If you wanted to go. $100.
That's pretty good, I think. I think that's pretty good.
I think that's worth it. It's $100 well spent. I'll say
I would go for the atmosphere alone.
Exactly.
I would go just for the scene.
And I'll be curious if there is a scene tonight.
I mean,
or if it's going to be predominantly American fans. And as you said, when you went to they're loud. American fans are loud. They're not much into the scene. They're into making a lot of noise.
The Japan fans traveled for last night's game, though. I'm sure they'll come for tonight's game.
But I'm just fascinated by these teams' general managers so desperately don't want. You're talking about the number one starter on the Angels, the number one starter on the Padres. Obviously, then the Angels also have Trout, who's the captain of the team. He's all in, giving dugout speeches, the whole thing. One more game you got to get through. You get your stars back.
Major League Baseball be watching tonight in bubble wrap as they try to make sure their players get back to their respective organizations without another injury.
Imagine Ohtani throws an up and in fastball to Trout. I just think it'd be awesome. He should do it and just smile. He should just look right at it with a big grin on his face, kind of like, come on, Mike. Have a sit.
Don't lean in next time.
Right. Come on.
Miller and Moulton. Jim Larranaga coming up in the bonus hour for those of you listening in the 239 at the top of the hour.
We'll replay the Jim Larranaga interview tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock for those along the network in Tampa, St. Pete, and Lake City, and Port Charlotte, and Venice, and what have you. Don't want to hold it from you. Also, I have Seth Everett and EJ Raddick on the show tomorrow. It's actually a pretty good show.
Imagine that. It's kind of what we try to do here is provide a little bit of entertainment for you. And we will break down the World Baseball Classic like it's never been broken down before.
May take 13 seconds. Could be like 14-2 against Cuba.
Felipe is out on the prowl to get a Team USA jersey by first pitch.
I like those gray jerseys.
Miller and Moulton. Jim Larranaga, head coach of the Canes, in the bonus hour. That's next on Miller and Moulton.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
This is the fit, by the way, that Mark was complaining about. I know nothing matches, and I even have these shoes on.
Oh, wow.
But I like the hat. Did you guys talk about that catcher on the Cuban team, Ivan Prieto?
Mark mentioned the guy who defected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Just another Tuesday night in Miami. Or Monday night, whatever.
Well, and Logic, man, the emotion that Otani showed last night. I mean, apparently everybody associated with Japanese baseball was like, we've never seen this before. I will say, I think it's setting the Angels up for a disaster, though. If they're not good this year, now that Otani and Trout have experienced this also, they're going to be, Otani is like, well, get me out of here.
Coach L's on hold. We're back in 15.
But I think Trout may say, I got to play meaningful games.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much to be with us. And we're thrilled to be joined once again by the Miami Hurricanes head basketball coach, Jim Larranaga, who for the fourth time in the last 10 years has taken Miami at least as far as the Sweet 16. Follow the coach on Twitter, Canes Coach L, Canes Coach L. Coach, it's David and Mark. Congratulations and thanks for your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure, guys. It's a very exciting time for Miami basketball, both men and women, in the Sweet 16.
You guys own Indiana. I don't think you can even go. If the Final Four is in Indianapolis, I don't know if they're going to let you go.
No, we were very, very excited with our matchup because Indiana has such great basketball tradition, and Nigel Pack is from Indianapolis. We felt like Nigel would have a great game, and he did. But our players were really disappointed that we didn't play better against Drake, and I knew they would come out with a vengeance against Indiana. And Isaiah Wong was tremendous with 27 points. Jordan Miller just dominated with 19 points and defending Trace Jackson Davis so well. Gave us a great chance to win the game, and we did.
Well, and Coach, you know, Indiana had a little run the start of the second half, and I thought your team showed great poise, just kind of armbarred them in that second half, pulled away from Indiana. Just talk about your play in that second half.
Well, what happened at halftime I thought was hysterical. I met with my staff, and we're trying to figure out if we should keep trapping the ball screen. And then we decided, well, what we'll do is we'll put Jordan Miller on Trace Jackson Davis and keep Norshad Omir out of foul trouble. When we went into meet with the team and tell them what we were planning, and say, look, Jordan's going to take Trace Jackson Davis. And Norshad Omir said, oh, yeah, we already decided that. So I said, what do you mean you guys decided that? He said, oh, we had a discussion. We thought that was the best strategy. And I just said, well, we're all on the same page, so let's make it work. So we started out the second half still trapping with Jordan guarding the ball screen, but they were able to get the ball to Trace Jackson Davis, and they started scoring. So we made an adjustment in our ball screen defense, and instead of trapping, we went underneath Trace Jackson, and that kept Jordan on him. And Jackson Davis, we tried to just deny him the ball after that, and the guys did a great job. So good strategy, good execution of the strategy, and just got to give our players a lot of credit for being able, number one, to understand the differences in our defense and how to make them work.
Coach, if we could go back to Friday night, you're scuffling against Drake, and they deserve a lot of credit because, you know, they're very good. They're helping you scuffle. But there's like 6 minutes to go, and, you know, Wong and Miller, who ended up being terrific on Sunday, we're scuffling. You guys are scuffling. You're down 8. How do you get, and how did you get your team to seemingly take that deep breath and then finish the game on the 16-1 run?
I would say great leadership from our seniors. First of all, Jordan Miller huddled the team after that timeout and said, look, the season is not going to end this way. Everybody pick up the defense. We're now pressing and trapping. Let's force some turnovers, make them make some mistakes and react to us, and then attack them as hard as we can. And with that kind of senior leadership, the guys really responded. Nigel Pack was just nodding his head, yeah, let's go after these guys. And so we got a couple of steals, and then that put Drake in a little bit of a panic mode. We got a few stops at the defensive end and converted those. We ended up going on a 16-1 run and closed out with a 7-point victory.
You know, Coach, I'm listening to you talk about two different games and talk about your team, and we always think of coaches, and particularly college coaches, as being maybe a little bit possessive, control freaks, if you will. And you've talked about two different stories where your team is the one leading the charge. It sounds as if sometimes it's coaching, sometimes it's letting your leaders lead.
Well, here's the thing about leadership. My definition is the leader needs to create a vision, a crystal clear picture of what he wants his team members to accomplish. And then he must inspire them, motivate them, and then empower them to try to accomplish things they never even imagined they could. And that's what my staff and I do. We train them in practice and trust them during the game. And by trust them during the game, that means, hey, they got a voice in this too. they're the ones that have to produce on the court. So when there was a timeout against Indiana and Norshad Omier was on the bench in foul trouble, but at the timeout, I sit in front of the guys who are in the game and talk to them, but I first talked to my assistants. And while I was talking to my assistants, Norshad Omier sat in my seat giving the guys who were in the game direction. So we've got great leadership up and down our lineup, including a guy like Isaiah Wong, the ACC Player of the Year. You know, he didn't shy away from the game against Drake, where he didn't have a great game. He was 1 for 10 from the field. He came back with the kind of player he is, just attacking Indiana from start to finish, scored 27 points, leading us to victory.
He's Jim Larranaga, the outstanding head coach of the Miami Hurricanes men's basketball team. You can follow him on Twitter at Canes Coach L, Canes Coach L. Fourth time in the last 10 tournaments, the Canes are through to the Sweet 16. One final question about the weekend that came and went before we move forward to Houston. How real is the pressure down the stretch of a close tournament game? I mean, is it something that truly you can feel? Is it palpable?
Yeah, I would say it definitely is. And one of the reasons why I feel like our team is able to do what it did over this weekend is we've been competing at a very high level in the ACC and have had so many close games. And the guys really know the expression we use is poised down the stretch, where you got to make your free throws. You can't turn the ball over. You got to play great defense, and you got to rebound. You know, the worst thing you can do is foul. Now, if you foul a three-point shooter, it's disaster. All right? And so we've been in so many close games. We've lost a few, but we've won a bunch. And when you win those close games, it builds confidence that, hey, we can do this again. So against Drake, I know our guys knew exactly what we had to do to execute down the stretch.
Played two different styles of game. Drake was a little more slow down. Indiana, a little bit more of a quicker pace. You're going to get a slow down game against Houston. How do you try to best control the pace in this game, Coach?
No, Houston's going to run. They're an up-tempo team. The difference is, and I think you have to kind of be able to read the analytics. The opponent has a very hard time scoring against Houston's man-to-man defense. So the game actually slows down when Houston's opponent is on offense and can't score quickly. So it's their offense. If they get a chance, they're going to run on us. And if we get a chance, we're going to run on them. So this is going to be a game of who can control the tempo. And we have to be able to do both. We got to be able to play fast when we have the opportunity and play slow when the fast break is not there.
When we spoke last week, we were concerned about the matchup against Drake, and we were struck by how, I don't want to say confident, but how you were like, you know, I actually feel that this is a good matchup for us. I like, and you went through as to why. Now that you've dug into Houston a little bit, how does it feel? Is this a good matchup for Miami?
You know, one of the things about us is we're not that tall. And quite frankly, Houston's not that tall. They're just tough, physically tough. They're a fantastic offensive rebounding team, fourth in the country. Fantastic half-court defensive team, fourth in the country in that category. So the first thing we're going to be emphasizing to our players is, number one, we have to keep them off the offensive boards. We must block out. We must rebound. And we did a great job of that against Indiana. The second is we've got to create fast break opportunities because they're so good at the half-court level. We need to score in the open court before they can get their defense set. So it's going to be a combination of things. They're obviously the number one seed. They've been number one in the country a good portion of this season. But we play in the ACC, and we think the ACC is the best league in the country, and we feel like we're going to represent the ACC in a very positive way this coming weekend like we did last weekend.
It sounds like it's about transition then, because you talked about, not letting them on the offensive glass and still trying to get the up-tempo game. They kind of contrast one another. So how important is, how do you get to that transition if you're going to be really content on making sure you don't let them have offensive rebounds?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of great blockouts and they're a great 2-point shooting team. They can shoot the three, but they're really comfortable getting in the paint and shooting a pull-up jump shot. They got a bunch of guys like Rip Hamilton and from the NBA and Avery Bradley, Jason Terry. They don't launch as many threes. They take threes, but their primary way of scoring is either a 15-foot jump shot or an offensive rebound stick-back basket. So we got to keep them out of the paint, and we got to rebound. But once we rebound, because they'll be in the paint as well, we got to outlet it and run and score before they can set their defense.
Coach, once again, congratulations. Thanks so much for your time. Safe travels to Kansas City, and all the best beginning Friday night against Houston.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. Good talking with you.
Jim Larranaga, the outstanding head coach of the Hurricanes. Canes Coach L is how you can follow him on Twitter. Canes Coach L. 4th time in the last 10 tournaments. Miami through to the Sweet 16. Yet to get to the Final Four. Got to the Elite 8 last year. Had the lead at the half against Kansas last year. Does last year's experience, Mark, help all the pressure on Houston? Does it help Miami?
Well, he only said rebounding 10 times in that interview because they're not a great rebounding team, and Houston is. That's going to be the difference in this game for the Canes. Can they keep Houston off the offensive glass, where he mentioned they're the 4th best team in the country? Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. Back with more in a moment. Where else but right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Felipe, if you ever have kids and you have a son, you put him in gymnastics as soon as you can.
Really?
I'm telling you right now, as the toddler, if I would have had my daughter before my son would have been going to gymnastics at age 2. Not saying past age 5 or 6, but just doing all the stuff for coordination.
Sophie's brother was a gymnast, and I looked at some of his old tape. He was a beast.
Well, first off, My daughter's stronger, I bet you, than every 8-year-old in her class. I mean, climbing the rope and doing push-ups and all the things she's already can do at ease. No, but if I had a boy, I would like if I was like Cassio's got 2 boys, I'd have him in gymnastics.
Sophie was a gymnast for years, and she hasn't done any of that for years, and she is still like she can do a cartwheel perfectly, or just like a handstand.
That's a girl thing,
right?
They all can do cartwheels.
But she just
can you do a cartwheel?
No, I cannot.
No,
never
I never could.
Neither could
not really. No, I mean I could round off a little bit, but I couldn't cartwheel.
I could do a dribble sham god behind the back step back 3-pointer, but I can't do a cartwheel.
Sounds very complicated.
Mm-hmm. I have handles.
So you say.
Yep.
God, I've known you for almost 2 years now, and you still never see me play basketball. Also, if it's
Felipe, don't take this the wrong way. I don't think it's on either one of our buckets lists. I really like you
World Baseball class.
I knew you had a feeling it would go there. Also, if it's late March, don't go to Miami unless it's for an event. Like
by the way, yeah, it's just you guys got to get a handle on this whole spring break thing.
We can't. How could you? Hey, no one's allowed to travel. It's it's part of it's what comes with being the best city on earth. I mean,
what did New York have to do with this?
I'm sure they deal with, I guess, a similar issue. Maybe not at the magnitude, but probably. Spring breakers. Yeah, it's every year. It's awful. And it's spreading to Fort Lauderdale as well.
Well, I will say, I mean, Fort Myers Beach had a hell of a spring break thing going, and so those folks had to go somewhere.
I love how classy the Japan players and fans are as well. Like there was a clip in the background of them celebrating the walk-off. A Japan fan was waving the flag. He puts it down, looks at the guy next to him with a Mexico flag, shakes his hand, and then hugs him. That's sports right there.
So the Athletic today is officially proposing a mid-season World Baseball Classic.
Oh,
there you go.
Holy cow! Sparty's a 1.5 favorite over Kansas State.
I know.
What?
I know. They opened a 1-point favorite. I'm a little surprised.
That is surprising.
Don't you think that's all Izzo? Reputation?
100%.
That otherwise it'd be like 3.5 the other way.
Boy, I loved it. Keontae Johnson made a big 3, made a couple of big plays late in that game against Kentucky. I thought that was pretty damn cool.
How can you
so glad he did not take the money.
How can you not root for that young man?
Well, it'll be really easy this weekend for me, but
I understand.
Here we go.
Well, you could root for him to score 30 and still lose.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, ugly. What's on tap today was the day when, all coming up in a little less than 20 minutes time. At this time yesterday, we had just got done talking to Carl Semesco. The FGC women were getting ready for their second round game against Nova. You know, when they were only down 6 at the half, I thought, got a shot here because they haven't even played well.
No, I had sent you a text. It's like there's no way they can play any worse than they played in the first half.
And it turned out you were wrong.
They could.
Right. You know, losing's one thing. I feel badly because obviously, with their lack of size, they're going to have to. The deeper they get in the tournament, they have to play as close to their A game as possible.
Right, but they got a little break. The big girl for Villanova gets in foul trouble early. So the big girl, I mean, not their best scorer, but their biggest players on the bench. So they eliminated one of the problems, reasonably early in the game.
And, give Nova credit. They played well. But FGCU did not bring their A game, and obviously they have no chance against a legit top 10, 12 team in the country if they're not going to bring their A game.
No, defensively they struggled.
Yeah.
Nova was running backdoor cuts for ease. Carl said it yesterday. We interviewed him yesterday. What do you have to stop, Coach? Can't give them the easy buckets. And right from the word go,
yes,
Nova was scoring easy buckets.
And you and I have watched them play for a long time. They're a very good defensive group. Okay. Even if they're small, and even when they weren't as athletic, they always structurally were very good defensively. They keep teams in front of them. They don't allow happen to them what they do to others. All the open looks for three and all the backdoor cuts and the drives for the layups. They take all of that away. They didn't last night.
How good is Maddie Siegrist?
31, which for her is another day that ends in Y. Because that's basically what she averages. 30 a game. She scored 31.
And now they'll be favored because they play Miami. And for she's up to the fourth all-time single season scoring, but she will move to second in her next game.
She made history last night, passing Kelsey Plum with the longest consecutive streak of 20-point games in NCAA history, men or women's, 36 consecutive games with 20.
That's pretty impressive. That's really good.
I mean,
it's one thing to be 1,000-point scorer. When you're 1,000-point scorer this year, damn. I mean, we stop games and bring out game balls and take photos for scoring 1,000 points. Hold on a second. You've done that in 4 months? Damn, you can play.
And she plays like Carmelo Anthony. I mean, she posts up, takes a jab step and pulls up, and it's cash every time. You can't guard her.
So, fourth time the women got to the second round. And they were down 6 at the half. I mean, this is the closest that they've come. But when Villanova started the third quarter with a 9-0 run, you're like, no, it was needed to go the other way.
Really did.
Needed to go the other way.
Really did. And
this is a problem.
Great year. Another great year. I was a little disappointed. I got a couple of texts from friends that were watching. And when the blowout happened, one of them just said, well, that's why the A-Sun's only a one-bid league. And I'm like, whoa. They got through the first game. Let's slow down a little bit. They whooped up on a 5.
I was going to say they beat the Pac-12 champions by double digits. I mean, come on, don't talk about them here like they're FDU. Come on now, but that is unfortunately, Mark. That's life in the tournament, male and female. People judge you by the final score, and they make it a conclusion about the whole program based on what round and the final score.
And unlike the men, as we pointed out, that was a true road game last night. They were playing in a near sold-out gym where everyone was rooting against them, and it did not go well.
So the whatever season in a row of 30-plus wins, 33-4. 3 of the 4 losses to basically top 10 teams, Stanford, Duke, and Villanova. The only other loss, they lost at Liberty in overtime, a game that they kind of threw away late. So, we'll see. The big issue with FGCU, the women, is who can they get on the schedule? All 5 big programs in state will not schedule them. I mean, they'll schedule South Dakota State, but they won't schedule FGCU. Don't know what to tell you.
And there's nothing FGCU can really do about it. That's the problem. It's not like there's somewhere to take your case up to start getting more games.
And then that's what Carl Semesco said after winning against Washington State. He said, listen, you can't make teams schedule you. You can only ask. And while South Florida had a, nice tournament showing, in Miami with a tremendous win last night. I mean, to beat a 1 seed on their home court. I think it's the second or third time Katie Meyer's crew has gone to the Sweet 16. Congratulations to her. They got the Cavender twins, the big NIL darlings, and who both, the one twin was tremendous last night. Also, big shots, big free throws down the stretch. But, Miami won't play them. She pulls no punches. She's like, oh, no, we ain't playing FGCU. I mean, the only time they've played them is in an NIT or an NCAA tournament. In 20 years, the only time they played them is in an NIT or an NCAA tournament.
Which I guess I would have understood 12 years ago, but now when it actually won't hurt the team that they're playing is what I don't get. Because it doesn't hurt. Even if Miami loses that game, it doesn't hurt them.
Well, no, it has surprised both you and I. For South Florida, for Miami, and really now, I understand for the Gators, FGCU is better than the Florida women. They just are. Okay. I mean, if Florida scheduled FGCU would win by 20. I mean, they're better. All right. So, but for the others, South Florida, Miami, they think they're better. They've proven they're a little bit better. Florida State's been a little up and down lately, but Florida State's also been better. But like we've pointed out, FGCU is a legit top 50 program. That's a very good game on your schedule. Whether you're scheduling UConn or FGCU, it actually counts the exact same for your net rating. It's a top 50 game. So why wouldn't they, especially since they can get FGCU to come to them? It's not like FGCU can, call the shots here and say, oh, we'll only play a home and home. I mean, come on.
Particularly with UConn leaving the American Conference there.
Right. I mean, South Florida can go through the whole season and not play a team that's ranked higher than FGCU. Now, they do. It's funny. They will schedule other top 50 programs, but they will not schedule FGCU.
But the women, a great season, bowed out last night to Villanova in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Started slowly, got it back to 6 at the half, and then Nova on a run to start the third quarter, and that was all she wrote for the Lady Eagles as they bow down with another 30-win season.
And now the attention shifts to the FGCU baseball team. Nationally ranked. Division I baseball ranked them 19th in the country yesterday. They're top 25 in the national polls. They just won the series against Liberty, who was the preseason favorite to win the conference. They're 16-4 on the season. They're the first team in over 20 years, non-conference, to go into Tallahassee and win a series against Florida State. They're good. Got a few pitching injuries right now that they're dealing with, but they're good.
They got to figure out a way to get through those injuries, because there was another year I remember, and you'd probably be specifically able to tell me the year, which they started out good and then fell to a very average conference play. They need to continue the momentum in conference play now after having the great non-conference start, because there's a reason to go out and watch a little FGCU baseball this year. Miller and Moulton.
And you get a beer.
Exactly. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when, and a beer. Oh, I mean, what's on tap? That's all coming up next.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Baby Jules, I thought it was a little ticky-tack at the start of the third. I thought they got zebraed a little bit. I don't disagree with that statement.
All right, 10 seconds. Finish line.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, about 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. If you missed it, we had Jim Larranaga on the show earlier this hour. We'll replay that interview during the syndicated part of our show tomorrow at 7 o'clock. We'll also have Seth Everett and EJ Raddick on the show in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow at the very least. I mean, that's already, in the hopper, so to speak. Never mind what else we're going to get. College hoops, World Baseball Classic. I mean, that's just guaranteed right there. Bada bing, bada boom. That's how we roll.
Seth will be all into the World Baseball Classic tonight, I would think.
He will, although he's going to want to talk about his Florida
that's
travel
right.
weekend.
He was at Boca del Vista with the in-laws running for the board.
But also he took in Devils Panthers Saturday, and then they drove to Tampa, took in Devils Lightning Sunday. So he's, he did the whole hockey touristy thing.
And what a interesting touristy thing it is after going to the Devils Panthers game, of which there were probably 7 people at the game, to Devils Lightning, which is a packed atmosphere.
Right. His team blew a 2-0 lead on Saturday and rallied from a 2-0 deficit on Sunday. So, but that'll be Seth tomorrow, and we'll talk some hockey with EJ Raddick as well. So, looking forward to it.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1949 we start for all you Miamians. WTVJ Channel 4 begins broadcasting.
Wow.
1952, the first rock and roll concert. Alan Freed's The Moondog Coronation Ball at the Cleveland Arena. 20,000 tried to show up for 12,000 seats. Today in 53, an NBA record 106 fouls and 12 players foul out of the Boston-Syracuse game. 106 fouls. What was this, like that first 4 game we watched last week? 1959, California beats West Virginia 71-70. Jerry West from West Virginia is named Most Outstanding Player.
Which began a string of Jerry West teams coming up just short in championship games.
Art Modell purchased the Browns today in 1961 for nearly $4 million. That same day, the Beatles made their first appearance at the Cavern Club in Liverpool. Safe to say the tickets were cheaper for the Beatles that day.
Also, Art Modell then began the process of firing Paul Brown. Took a few years. You know who the franchise was named after.
63, Alcatraz closes.
Yeah, how about that? 60 years that sucker's been closed.
One of the coolest tours I've ever been on. I've been lucky enough to do a lot of traveling. I've been to some pretty neat places. The Alcatraz tour is awesome.
I want to go.
64, UCLA beats Duke. It was the Bruins' first title in their first title game, capping off a 30-0 undefeated season.
That's Wooden's first, right?
Yes. 65, Martin Luther King Jr. begins his march from Selma to Montgomery. 1970, UCLA beats Jacksonville.
And Artis Gilmore.
Yeah. 4th straight under Wooden. Today in 73, Frank Mahovlich becomes the 5th player to score 500 goals, doing so for Les Habitants. Today in 1980, it was the season finale, David. JR was shot.
They made us wait to mid-November, 8 months before they told us who shot JR. Do you remember the promo CBS did, which was hysterical? They literally, so that the secret would not get out, they had every single cast member, all right, tape a scene shooting JR. And they included having JR shooting JR.
Right. It was today in 82 at the Players that Jerry Pate shoots a 67 to win, but it wasn't the 67 that it was remembered by. It was the jump into the water after winning. Today in 84, the NFL owners passed their famous anti-celebrating rule.
No fun league.
That's right. Started today in 84. I did this one mainly for me, David, because I just wanted to say his name on air. Today in 91, Ron Tugnuts, that's an NHL modern-day record for the most saves in a non-loss game. He stopped 70 of 73 for the Quebec Nordiques in a 3-3 tie with the Bruins. Ronnie Tugnut was great. Gretzky ties Howe's record of 801 today in 94. And today in 2006, Jack Dorsey, the Twitter founder, sent out the first ever tweet, just setting up my Twitter. Celebrating birthdays today, Tom Flores is 86. Actor Gary Oldman is 65. Matthew Broderick and Rosalie O'Donnell are 61. And that is today was the day when. What did I miss?
The only thing I really got, President Carter on this day in 1980, same day as the Dallas cliffhanger. Earlier in the day, President Carter announces we're going to boycott the Summer Olympics in Russia. So once again, that's when the whole U.S. hockey team thing had happened last month. That's what was hanging over those Olympics. Soviets' invasion of Afghanistan. We were openly talking about not going to their Olympics. They, in turn, 4 years later, would lead a Soviet bloc boycott of the 84 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. The Soviets, East Germans. All right.
We do really well in that Olympics.
Yeah, we did. We crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. Got all the athletes on steroids out of the way. Hell, got those East German swimmers out of the pool. That's fantastic. Mary Lou with the perfect 10. Oh, yeah. That's big. Big Olympics for us.
2008, 15 years ago today, Stephen Curry caught fire and scored 40 points against Gonzaga in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, that's right. He took.
Did you think at the time what a lot of the doubters thought, that he was going to be too weak for the NBA, that he was too small?
100%. He was too small. Yeah. I was wrong.
Too small.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We thought about Curry what we're thinking about Bryce Young right now. He's too small, too skinny. No way. Can't do it.
There you go.
I mean, he only took Davidson to the Elite Eight and literally came a jumper away from knocking out Kansas, the Kansas team that a week later would win the national title. Joe Dooley, when he was FGCU head coach, we talked to him one time in which he said, most scared game ever was playing Curry and Davidson. All the pressure was on us. Bill had to get to a Final Four. We had lost in a couple region finals and the whole deal, and we're playing Curry and Davidson. We were scared to death.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, we go to Cape Coral. Steve Jacobson, part-time Cape Coral resident. When he started wintering down here, he didn't even know what a burrowing owl was. Now, after noticing an owl outside his home, he reached out to the nonprofit Cape Coral Friends of Wildlife, and he learned that the organization desperately needed help making purchase for the burrowing owls. He's now made 500 to 700 of them. When people ask him, what are you doing for? He says it's for the owls out there. What a guy. So we should give a hoot about Steve Jacobson today. Saving the owls, David. Saving the owls.
Did you really go there?
I did.
Give a hoot about the owls.
My cheesiness knows no bounds, David.
It's pretty cheesy.
Thank you. For the bad, we go to Pennsylvania, where Camille Yoder hosted a fundraiser for a person suffering from cancer and took in $15 each. Apparently, she decided then to keep all the money, not giving any to the cancer victim. After family members were upset, she handed over $600 but kept $780, saying she had expenses in making coleslaw. Apparently, the coleslaw cost more than anything else, David, and she kept $780 in coleslaw. She is now being arrested for theft by deception. If you're going to rip a cancer patient off, shouldn't you do it for more than $780?
Yes. How about 780,000?
Thank you.
Right.
Right. For the bad, for the ugly, rather, we go to Collier County, where after fleeing a hit and run on I-75, a mobile home caught fire, causing the suspect to take off on foot into the Everglades on Sunday. FHP was alerted there was a hit and run crash on Sunday evening. A full-size motorhome resulted in troopers trying to attempt to perform a traffic stop. The motorhome fled from deputies. Stop 6 were deployed, which deflated the tires, but the driver continued onto I-75 with just the rims. Once the flames became too big for the driver to drive, he took off and disappeared into the Everglades and is still on the loose.
I wonder if he's listening to the show. If we get it on out there in the Everglades.
Only if he's streaming. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, March the 21st, 2023.
And in his honor, we will play Saga on the Loose coming up after the break. 6 games in the NBA tonight. Magic are home against Washington. You know, I actually have access to Magic Knicks tickets Thursday night. Anybody interested?
Why don't you go?
I was thinking about it.
They're your Knicks.
I know. They're lower bowl seats, too. It's 2 hours away. I really should go.
Felipe would never talk to you again if you didn't go.
Well.
Oh, man. Julius Randle, scored 57 last night and they lost.
Hey, listen, Felipe, you're used to going to conference finals and winning some titles and what have you. Okay, this is the second best Knicks team in the last 22 years. All right, take it easy now. All right, doesn't take much to get a Knicks fan excited. They have a chance to win like 2 or 3 games before losing their first round series. I mean, this is a very exciting Knicks team. Orlando home for Washington. Washington needs the game desperately to try to get in the play-in. Big game for the Heat tonight. It's in Brooklyn. It involves the Cavs and the Nets. The Heat are a game back of the Nets, but 2 in the loss column to try to avoid the play-in and be the 6th seed. So if you're the Heat, you're rooting for the Cavs tonight in a big way. 13 NHL games tonight. 13. They can only have 16. I mean, Panthers are in Philadelphia. Lightning are in Montreal. Big game for the Panthers is also on Long Island. Toronto and the Islanders. Florida just a point behind the Islanders for the first wild card. They're a point ahead of Pittsburgh to be in the playoffs, but they have a game in hand on the Islanders, and they're only a point behind. And Mark, let's be honest, mean, if you make the playoffs, but you're the second wild card, you're going to get the Bruins in the first round. If you're the first wild card, you're going to get either Carolina or the Devils.
And there is a big difference between
Yes.
the two this year.
Yes. So just throwing that out there. If you're really jonesing for some college hoops, the NIT on ESPN at 7 and 9, North Texas at Oklahoma State, Wisconsin at Oregon at 9. Both home teams are favored by 4.5. Oklahoma State and Oregon favored by 4.5. The games are on ESPN. But the biggie tonight, 7 o'clock, FS1.
The biggest sporting event in the history of the world.
Certainly the biggest baseball game that's ever been played at Lone Depot Park, or whatever the heck that stadium is called. U.S. and Japan, World Baseball Classic final, 7 o'clock FS1.
One entire nation will be watching the game. The other doesn't know what channel it's on. It's not that much of a stretch, David.
No, I'm laughing not because you're wrong, but because you're right. Yeah, 60 million will be watching in Japan.
At least.
And Fox is hoping to get, Felipe threw out there 3. Let me tell you, there will be naked Fox executives in the streets of Los Angeles if this game does 3 million people on FS1.
And it's getting the hype to do it. I will say, the networks are throwing a little more highlights on. We shall see. We'll talk about it tomorrow with Seth Everett. Great show lined up for you tomorrow on Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. If you missed any part of the show, Florida Sports Network to download the podcast or any of the usual places right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,